As far as Home Department is concerned, topmost police officials as well as Home Department officials, including the Additional Chief Secretary supervising the search operation for Shrikant Tyagi. Through sources we've been told that last his phone was switched on somewhere in Haridwar in Uttarakhand. But definitely, police sources are telling us that he will be nabbed very, very soon. They have some very critical information about his movement, and it is only a matter of time before news of his arrest is flashed all across.
Right, STF is also on his trail right now. Thank you, Amir, for joining us. Let's now go through some other stories that made headlines across the country. Samajwadi Party District President Devendra Singh Yadav got into a car accident in Mainpuri when a truck hit his car and dragged it for about 500 meters before coming to a halt. The truck driver has been arrested. Section 144 has been imposed in Manipur's Bishnupur area after a van was set on fire by some youth. District administration has held a public meeting to calm frayed tempers. 3 pilgrims were killed and several injured in a stampede in Khatu Shyamji temple in Rajasthan. The incident happened at 5 this morning. Several people have been injured, have been referred to Jaipur. Pharmacy students created a ruckus in the premises of Civil Hospital of Lucknow while celebrating a birthday party. Senior authorities initiated an inquiry into the matter. They are saying that a strict action will be taken against those found guilty of disrupting the peace in the hospital. 3 people lost their lives and a dozen were injured after a private bus going from Gwalior to Gujarat overturned in the Lehna Valley in Dungarpur. The injured were trapped inside the bus. They were evacuated and admitted to Bichhiwara and Dungarpur hospitals. 11 fishermen have been rescued near Panambur shore after a fishing boat completely sank in the waters. A group of youth were on another boat and helped in the rescue mission. Due to heavy rains and lack of a proper drainage system, about 500 houses are surrounded by water on all sides. Residents, including children, have to walk through knee-deep water while leaving their homes in Dholpur. That's all that we had for you on News Pulse. Up next is Rahul Shivshankar on Upfront.
Thanks indeed, Priya. Yes, viewers, we are going to focus on a story of inequality. Us versus them. Us, the public, them, the entitled, politically connected netas or individuals who think that because they wield power, they can actually set the terms of the interaction between them and us. Viewers, on your screens tonight are 2 instances. One, a minister on the right-hand side who thinks it's his birthright to hold up an ambulance. And on the other, a politically connected individual living in an apartment complex who thought that his status allowed him to boss over every other neighbor. Viewers, what makes these individuals, what makes our netas so arrogant, so entitled? What is it about their mindset? Or perhaps, is it that they think that we don't stand up to them, don't fight for our rights? Or do they know that they will be always insulated by the law because the law in this country is fundamentally unequal? These are some questions which we will ask viewers on our channel. Our channel, viewers, your channel, my channel, our channel. Times now. Let's focus on this Tyagi story for a little while. That came out of Noida. Viewers, 3 nights ago, Times Now exposed an entitled, politically connected resident of a housing society who assaulted a neighbor because she opposed his very visible encroachment of a common area. Now, all, as you know, flats, condominiums, housing complexes have a common area. That common area is not your private lawn. It might be a pool, it might even be a gymnasium, it might even be a little sports room. It might be a little lawn where anyone from that particular block can come out and relax in, walk in. But there are some people, viewers, who think because they are powerful, because somehow they might be richer than you, because they can employ a couple of bodyguards, that they can muscle their way into this common area, take it away from you, and basically, viewers, take it for themselves. One such man is Shrikant Tyagi. He is today on the run. Why? Because the outrage created by our Times Now's reportage brought the full might of the state to bear upon him. Our channel Times Now, yours, mine, had to wake up the state. We really had to shake it by its collar and say, come on, here is a woman on screen. And I'll show you those visuals being pushed around by this boorish bully. Viewers, had our channel, yours and mine, not done this, we wouldn't have seen what we are witnessing. It's quite unprecedented. Your insistent questioning of the Yogi government through our channel Times Now, which is our collective platform, ensured that today bulldozers rolled into the society and knocked down the encroachment. Look at those visuals. Let's cut to them full frame if we can. Yes, Yogi sent him his bulldozers. But that wasn't all, viewers. The Yogi government threw the rule book at the man who is thought to be a card-carrying member of the BJP and a local muscle man. Today, Tyagi stands booked under the Gangsters Act. It's an unforgiving act. It'll make it very difficult for him to even get bail. 3 of his cars have been impounded for breaking rules, and now his shops are also being raided by GST teams. We are told that he has a whole string of shops. In addition to this, 6 of what people are saying are his goons who had tried to intimidate the woman complainant are also cooling their heels behind bars. No wonder then that spontaneous celebratory cheer broke out within the housing complex as soon as they saw this action. Viewers, listen to this. Cheering, lusty cheering by the residents. Listen to this.
बहुत खुश हैं। ये काम पहले हो जाना चाहिए, 2 साल पहले हो जाना चाहिए था, बट आज हो रहा है, बहुत अच्छा।
आप लोग बहुत दिन से कंप्लेन कर रहे थे इसके बारे में, तो अभी फाइनली एक्शन हो गया।
अभी एक्शन हो गया और सबके लिए बहुत अच्छा हुआ है।
आप लोग को जो प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी उसका जस्टिस डिलीवर हो गया आपका?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, अगर ये हो जाता है और वो इंसान जेल के अंदर आ जाता है तो ये और भी अच्छा होगा।
Now we are feeling so safe and we are thinking our government is with us, so now we should not scared from anyone.
This is very good because this encroachment is not allowed for anyone, and this is illegal. This was completely illegal, so this should not be done, and I think this is the right what has to be done. पहले से ये होना ही चाहिए था.
We are very happy.
3 साल पहले होना तो जो आज हुआ, लेकिन जो हुआ बहुत अच्छे के लिए हुआ। लोगों को ये सबक मिलनी चाहिए कि जितने भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शंस है, एनक्रोचमेंट्स है, वो खत्म होनी चाहिए।
Whatever it is, the final product is that it has been demolished. We are happy with that.
योगी जी के इस कार्रवाई से बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ के रेजिडेंट खुश हैं, और जो नोएडा अथॉरिटी है उनके सीईओ हैं, उनकी भी इस कार्रवाई से बहुत खुश हैं। हालांकि उन्हें ये एक्शन पहले ले लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन जो हुआ देर आए दुरुस्त आए। ये जो मिठाई आई है इस कार्रवाई की वजह से आई है। आज यहाँ की जनता बहुत खुश है, लेकिन किसी के नुकसान होने पर मिठाई नहीं बांटी जाती। लेकिन जो मिठाई बांटते हैं लोग, वो कहीं ना कहीं दुखी होते हैं और उनको ये चीज देखने को मिलती है, तभी वो मिठाई बांटते हैं।
Viewers, at one level it's quite sad that there is this lusty cheering because some politically entitled bully's nose is being rubbed into the ground. This should happen. This should be par for the course. This should not be the exception, it should be the rule. As of now, this moment, a massive manhunt by the teams of Noida police is underway to nab Shrikant Tyagi, this bully, and a bounty of rupees 25,000 has been announced by Noida police for any information on Tyagi, who is believed to have escaped to Uttarakhand to evade the law. As of now, he might even be trying to sneak across the border into Nepal. His lawyers, however, are busy. He doesn't lack much money. So he's got a battery of lawyers into action. They've put in a surrender application. But even there, the court has given him 48 hours to turn himself in. If he doesn't, he's going to face even more music. Yes, viewers, there will be severe punitive action. He's already been booked under the Gangster Act. Earlier over the weekend, as anger grew against the man who threw his weight around because he claimed he was politically connected to the BJP, the local member of parliament also reached the spot and ensured that the woman resident was given protection and the accused was put behind bars, or should be put behind bars. Can you imagine? Even the MP lands up. Despite Yogi ramming home the zero tolerance message, the politics over the issue continues. We'll get to that in just a bit, but I want to open this up not just only to you viewers, but also our panel. Let's all come together today in a final push and secure justice. Let's ensure that bullies like this know the next time they try to sneak into your parking space or elbow you out of a common area or put their little stool in front of your door so that you have to use another gate and not the common passageway which they actually are eyeing. Viewers, justice is done. Let's try today making an example out of this man Tyagi. I want to first begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan on this. Dr. Ranganathan, Times Now picked this story up. No other organization, media organization did so on Friday. We focused on it in prime time. We asked some difficult questions of the administration of the BJP. We really went out on the front foot, so to speak, all of Saturday. And now, yours, mine, our Times Now has got the bulldozers into action. Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of this? Because there are still many in the political scene who probably, because maybe they fear that the next target might be them, are sort of churlishly reprimanding Yogi at some level or the other. We'll get to the politics, but what do you make of this?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my fellow panelists. There are three issues here. Number one, I think it's really good that the UP government and Mr. Yogi Adityanath has taken action against one Shrikant Tyagi. Cases have been registered, his illegal property has been demolished, a reward has been offered for his whereabouts, he's absconding, SIT has been formed. But the thing is, Rahul, there are hundreds, if not thousands of Shrikant Tyagis. How many will you go after? And they are in every party. They belong to every ideology, left, right, center. Why is the outrage only over a BJP Shrikant Tyagi, never a Congress or a TMC Shrikant Tyagi? I condemn all those who violate the law, and so does Times Now and so do you, and that is why I commend you for this. You have gone after BJP Shrikant Tyagi today. Yesterday you went after Congress Shrikant Tyagi, TMC Shrikant Tyagi, CPIM Shrikant Tyagi. You do it objectively. But for some, why is it that everything bad or violent is mainstreamed always by the BJP? Never when the BSP selects as a candidate a man who offered 51 crores to anyone who beheaded Charlie Hebdo journalists, or when Mehbooba Mufti selects a rape accused as a candidate, then it is not Armageddon, then it is not death of democracy. or when the ex-vice president presents an award to the PFI chief, or when a Congress MLA says he won't work for Dalits as they didn't vote for him, or when Congress's Harish Rawat says that those who kill a cow have no right to live in India, or when an SP legislator slaps a woman entering Haji Ali, or when Congress legislators demand hanging of Kamlesh Tiwari, or when Yasin Malik is celebrated by Manhunt Singh, or when Congress leader Nalai Kannan laments why Modi and Shah have not been killed yet, or when CM Stalin felicitates the man convicted in Rajiv Gandhi assassinations, or when tens of thousands collect for funerals of terrorists, then it is not mainstreaming of violence. I know many are saying, oh, this is whataboutery, but the point is, I am not being selective. I condemn everyone across the board, and so do you, Rahul. Number two, hundreds of instances of rampant police inaction and wrongful action in non-BJP states are ignored or provoke no outrage. In fact, if you remember, Rahul, at the time of the UP Hathras incident,
yes,
a Dalit minor was kidnapped and raped in Bengal and subjected to vile police inaction. A Rajasthan woman was raped but jumped in a well because police refused to act. Her father hung himself from a tree. No state compensation. A Dalit was gang raped in Telangana. Husband searched the jungles by himself, was denied post-mortem report. R. Johari Lal Meena, Karan Morwal, I ask you, BJP MLAs or Congress MLAs? Number three, very briefly. We cannot solve this problem unless we shun selectivity and bias. That is the whole point. Because 29% of our sitting MPs cutting across party lines face serious criminal charges. 36% of UP and 22% of sitting MLAs of Kerala, a state with 100% literacy, are facing serious criminal charges like murder, rape and dacoity. Remember Shivshankar Tiwari, just 30 seconds. The first gangster to win elections from jail. He and his family first joined Congress, then BJP, then SP, then BSP. Remember Raja Bhaiya? BSP arrested him under Pota. SP came to power, dismissed Pota charges within 15 minutes and made him a minister. BJP, that took his help in 2018 Rajya Sabha elections, had made him a minister in 1997. Democracy is more often than we'd like to admit, Rahul, not so much the defeat of the elected as it is of the electorate. And unless we take action objectively, unless we outrage objectively, we are never going to solve this, because there are tens, if not thousands, of Shrikant Tyagis.
Absolutely, Dr. Ranganathan, and that's the reason why today, viewers, I've also invited you on Our Times Now. Our. From Hyderabad, Mr. P. Kumar. From Chandigarh, Ishandeep. Retired Captain Rajendra Badola from Dehradun. Mayank also here with us. Let me begin with you first, Mr. P. Kumar. What do you make of this action?
Hi, Shivshankar, give me a minute to explain my thought.
Right.
Yeah. So, when power goes head, nobody can stop them. The only power givers can stop them.
Yes.
So, whether he is a journalist, I also know many journalists, they also bully the people and they make stories, all those things. I know politicians, I know bureaucrats. But if they don't take corrective action.
Yes,
before,
accountability.
What is there,
that's what makes
what is there for
netas so arrogant.
A party like BJP,
yes,
to choose their leaders.
Yes.
If they react after something is happened, then there is no meaning, right? If
Absolutely.
they compare with Congress,
Absolutely.
why do BJP exist and see, they can just join with the Congress and do the gundagiri, all those things, see, whatever was there.
As Dr. Ranganathan said, this cuts across party lines, this arrogance. We need to, viewers, punish this arrogance through a political, through either the political process, which is through the ballot box, or by shaming this lot. Shame them. Name and shame them. Thank you, Mr. P. Kumar, for calling in. Ishandeep calling in from Chandigarh. Go ahead, Mr. Ishandeep. What makes them so arrogant?
Comes from the access to the power which they have.
Yes.
And they have the confidence that they are going to get away with it.
Get away with it.
Come what may.
They will get away with it. They think they're going to get away with it. That's what Mr. Ishandeep is saying. We've got to now, viewers, start a public movement which prevents this. We've got to. Retired Captain Rajendra Badola with us from Dehradun. Army man. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Actually, I am not a retired captain from defense.
Okay.
Although I am coming from a defense family.
Right.
My father-in-law, all were defense people.
Okay.
I really thank you for, as Dr. Ranganathan has already mentioned, I hail your courage to bring up these, and you have stolen the word I wanted to use. How come these politicians, maybe he's a Parshad or anybody, how come they just become arrogant?
Arrogant?
As soon as
Absolutely.
They are elected?
How come?
As
Because
soon as they are elected.
because they're allowed, viewers. They're allowed. They control the enforcement agencies. They serve themselves. That's why no one asked them a question. In this extent, look, let me also tell you, arrogance is not a exclusive preserve of just our netas. There are enough arrogant judges also, viewers. Enough arrogant journalists also. Arrogance cuts across. You have to cut it down only by throwing the rule book at it. Mank. Go ahead, Mr. Mank. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to everybody on the panel. My basic suggestion is that everybody needs to elect a well-educated person. The problem with politics is anybody can stand for elections irrespective of his education or his background.
Actually, today, I'm sorry to say, but there is a culture. The more intelligent you are, the more educated you are, the more intellectually arrogant you can also be. We have enough of those also around who are so dismissive. How dare they ask me a question? Do you think I'm stupid that I'm going to answer you? Who are you? What degree do you hold to ask me, the smartest person on earth, a question? Kaun ho aap? There's also that. Anyhow, I think what we've got, viewers, is a lot of viewers calling in, all of us calling in to say, let's punish this lot. And I want to open this up. I suppose today, Ashutosh ji, you must be so happy. You must be so happy that the bulldozer has knocked down this arrogance. I'm not going to call it an illegality. It's arrogance. Knocked it down, Ashutosh ji. Ab bacha kya? I can't hear you, sir. You're on mute. Ashutosh ji, you're on mute. Yeah.
Rahul,
yes.
Frankly speaking, I had never been happy whether the bulldozer was used in Madhya Pradesh or bulldozer is used over here.
Okay.
Because this bulldozer is if pardon me saying so,
yes,
signifies the fact that there is no rule of law in this country, and the rule of law is very, very selective. And why I'm saying so, I'm happy that the Anand Ranganathan has tried to put the question in perspective. But I would like to add further. I will condemn those who violate the law. But I will more condemn those who do not implement the rule of law. The arrogance of these people, the entitlement of such politicians or anybody comes through only because there is no rule of law. I know this Omex, this housing society, it's very close to my place. This problem has been there for the many years. He constructed illegally, and the residents there have been complaining about it. But neither the Noida authority nor the police had taken any action. When this visual has gone viral and when the media took it up, and I want to compliment Times Now for taking the story and making it a big headline and the national story, only then woken up. I cannot imagine that this man was doing this and the local officials,
Dr. Mishra,
the Noida authority and the police did not know
Dr. Mishra, respond. Dr. Mishra, respond to Ashutosh. Please. Respond, sir.
Rahul, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and your whole media and the residential society who took up this particular issue so that the media can cover it. But what is happening? वहाँ के जो रेजिडेंट है उनका ये कहना है कि आशा के अनुरूप हुआ है एक्शन, यही है नोएडा वासियों का रिएक्शन। और इससे तेज और इससे फास्ट कार्रवाई, राहुल जी आप इतने सालों से मीडिया में हैं, आप मुझे बताइए किसी स्टेट में किसी भी जगह क्या इतने एक्टिवली एक्शन हुआ है? आपने खुद बताया, उनके अभी आपने बताया गैंगस्टर एक्ट लगाया गया, 10 धाराओं के अंदर उनके अगेंस्ट केस हुआ है। 4 गाड़ियां जब्त हुई हैं, 25,000 का इनाम लगाया गया है, बुलडोजर का एक्शन हो रहा है, 6 जगह दबिश हो रही है और उनका मोबाइल सर्वेलेंस पे है। लास्ट लोकेशन उनकी उत्तराखंड में पाई गई है।
आशुतोष जी, तो बुलडोजर देख के वो उनको पसीने आते हैं, वो कहते हैं गलत है ये, दिस इज नॉट लॉ, दिस इज ब्रेकिंग द लॉ, यू आर टेकिंग द लॉ इनटू योर ओन हैंड्स, दिस इज नॉट अप्लाइंग द लॉ। आप जरा उनको आप जवाब देंगे?
10 सेकंड्स।
वन सेकेंड, डॉक्टर मिश्रा,
इसके
आशुतोष जी को जवाब दीजिए।
उनको जवाब दे रहा हूं, उनको जवाब दे रहा हूं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ये कहता है कि न्याय होने के साथ साथ न्याय दिखना चाहिए और न्याय महसूस होना चाहिए। मुझे नहीं लगता कि इतना क्विक रिस्पांस जो वहां के निवासियों के द्वारा आया है, ऐसा किसी भी जगह आया है।
ओके, वन सेकंड,
क्विक रिस्पांस सिर्फ एक या दो जगह आया है।
लेट्स गेट एवरीवन's views and then I'll take everyone's rebuttals. Yeah, okay. Dr. Mishra says, look at the speed, the alacrity with which we've acted. Chalo, देर आए दुरुस्त आए, but at least we are visibly enforcing the law, which will serve as a deterrent. Okay, let's take that to Zeba Yasmin. Zeba Yasmin, when I asked this question of another BJP spokesperson, he said, dekhiye, look at what happened in the other administrations. Azam Khan, when he was booked for cheating people, Akhilesh Yadav alleged vendetta. Akhilesh Yadav moved the courts to free individuals booked for rioting cases because he saw not in them the color of the crime but the color of their cap. More than that, Raja Bhaiya DSP murder case only booked for criminal conspiracy. The BSP, when it was at power, Amarmani Tripathi rape case, didn't sack him immediately. There are several examples. So Miss Yasmin, why today is the opposition not coming out and saying, look, fine, they acted 3 years too late, but they have acted. There is reaction.
Rahul, when we were in power, we answered all the questions, right? Now again they're talking about past. We are not in power. It's better BJP answers all the questions. As Mr. Mishra, Dr. Mishra said that residents are saying that thankfully action has been taken. I guess Mr. Mishra, your 1 year is working and the other is not working, because half of the residents, they said that the action has been taken 3 years late. They have been under torture, they have been, under pressure, they have been complaining for the last 3 years, but you people were sleeping. So, if you listen to the feedback, listen to all the feedback.
But he is saying that when we act, then you criticize the action. You say that we are taking the law into our hands. How can we
criticize?
You are also listening from 1 year.
We are damn happy. We are damn happy.
You're damn happy.
Rather you should be, more active. 48 hours and
so Ashutosh says you can't be active like this. आप bulldozer कैसे भेज रहे हो? Do you welcome?
I want to know, where is your drone, BJP
Okay.
spokesperson?
Do you welcome the bulldozer action, Miss Yasmin? Simple question. Do you welcome it or you don't welcome? Ashutosh doesn't welcome it. He says पसीने छूट जाते हैं इन बुलडोजरों को देख के, because these bulldozers represent abuse of due process. Zeba Yasmin.
Rahul, this bulldozer isn't solving any purpose. Nobody is in fear. Because Yogi ji says that, everybody is in fear, hooligans have left UP. Nothing has happened. Hooligans have been given shelter by UP. This has been proved by this Noida case. And still you are propaganding bulldozer. Bulldozer isn't solving any purpose.
Okay, very quick. I think Dr. Ranganathan is also raising his hand. Dr. Ranganathan, very quickly, yes. And I want to bring in doctor from the BJP also. Yes, BJP is doctor.
No,
yeah.
Yes, just very, very quick couple of points. One to Dr. Saab of the BJP and to the other one to Miss Zeba of the SP. She is quite right. In fact, she is very right. She hasn't said it in so many words, but let me say what she can't say is that it is not SP's points to talk about this anymore, because people have thrown them out repeatedly. So SP cannot comment on this. It is for BJP to comment on this. So she's quite right. Ms. Yasmin is correct. They absolutely ignored law and order, and so people threw them out. So they are not answerable. She's right. But I want to ask this 10-second question to the BJP spokesperson. You are also very true, very right, Dr. Mishra, when you say that the BJP has taken prompt action, and I, in my first 10 seconds, commended you. But can you please inform the audience and Times Now's viewers, millions of them, how long were the illegalities of this gentleman carrying on? For how many years? Just tell us this. Simple question.
Mr. Ranganathan, it is pending for long. I have also come to know about this. But this is corruption, and BJP is working against the corruption. There is no corruption cases against the BJP. This is a part of corruption, and we are acting for that. And I am very thankful to media as well as the society who bring up this issue. And when this is the true Loktantra, true democracy, when the people are coming and complaining and media is bringing, and we are acting on that. We are not like Samajwadi Party, like Mukhtar Abbas, Atiq Ahmad, Nahid, Akhtar, Ramakant Yadav, Monu Singh, Ram Murthy Verma. You must be knowing Gayatri Prajapati, who was a POXO case, yet not suspended by the SP itself. And his wife was given ticket on this last election, and now she is MLA. This is what is happening in the Samajwadi Party. At least we are doing better than this. And I am not saying we are completely cleaned whole system, but we are trying our best. That is what for which we are chosen by the UP.
Well, one doctor to the other. One doctor has brought out and assessed the problem, the malaise. The other doctor says we have begun the treatment. Now the first course of medicine has been given. At least we have begun it. We are not ignoring the wound and letting it suppurate till the point that it becomes gangrenous. Okay, I mean, look, viewers, at least the BJP is being honest here. We started late. We are not perfect. We are trying. We are trying our best. Okay, let's put that out. Let's quickly also, before I come out to you, Sanjay Jha, I want to listen to 4 more of our viewers. Times Now and India's viewers. Yeah, one second, Dr. Mishra. I'll come to you on that. Just give me 30 seconds. I want to go across to Mr. Kumar, Mr. Atul, Mr. Chuck and Mr. Premji. Mr. Kumar calling in from Bengaluru. Go ahead very quickly, sir. Good evening.
Thank you, good evening, Rahul. Thank you very much. You know, where does the power stem from, Rahul? Power stems from position, power stems from money, power stems from good looks. These are the 3 reasons for power. Now, Ashutosh started the, whole debate very well. But what is happening, and it is a very nice day to discuss when Kapil Sibal talked about the judiciary. Where is the law minister and the chief justice? Why can't they talk about it? This is the problem with the law. Yes. Citizens do not have access to law. This thing looks...
Sir, you have made me a bit depressed, Mr. Kumar. That means I'll never wield power. I have none of those virtues. Dr. Ranganathan, both of us, unfortunately, I can't speak for you, but certainly I feel very discounted. Wonderful. Mr. Kumar coming up with a very important point. Abha calling in from Chennai. Go ahead, Abha. Miss Abha, go ahead. Good evening. Are you there with us?
Everyone in the panel.
Yes.
What I want to say that it's better late than never. And I am very happy that the CM of Uttar Pradesh is really doing good job by showing that to these people who always say that this politics is going on, secularism, one narrative they set from 2002 till this date, and now they have come to that democracy is in danger, For everything they will say that. But today this guy is, I don't want to bring that thing in the light, that Hindu-Muslim, but today this guy is not a Muslim guy, he is a Hindu. If it would have been a Muslim guy, these people have created so much big scene that again that Bulldozer...
Well, Abha Krishnan making a point because she's been watching a lot of TV and is fed up with this whataboutery, as Dr. Ranganathan described it earlier. Whataboutery, this whataboutery also must end. People must come together to support an administration that is trying to make a change. It's better late than never. Chuck calling in from the USA, I believe. Go ahead, Chuck. Good evening.
Yeah, hi. I was just good evening to you, sir, to everyone who's there.
Go ahead.
However, my point was that these people here, they blame, he's from BJP, he's from Congress. Let them stop that and let law do their work.
Okay, let the law do its work. I think that's right. The law doesn't wear or wave any party flag. The law is to be applied against everybody, not selectively. Fair enough. Good point. Premji calling in from Mumbai. Mr. Premji, go ahead. Good evening.
Yes, my comments on Mr. Ashutosh, who says that bulldozing should not be done, and this is illegal job. I don't think so. Did the man build the building legally? If it's not legal, it's illegal.
Okay, Ashutosh ji, would you like to respond on this point? Ashutosh ji wants to respond. Yes. Please go ahead. Illegal is illegal.
I just want to tell Prem ji that why I said that the bulldozer is illegality in itself, because when illegality was happening, where the officials were there. This cannot happen. This illegal structure cannot stand if the officials concerned or the institution concerned have been alert enough. This building was not constructed in a day. This area is not constructed in a day. Where were the officials sleeping? Where the bureaucracy was sleeping? Where the government was sleeping? That's
but that means that this is an illegality. So now they've woken up 3 years later and they brought in the bulldozer, and you're still fulminating against it.
No, Rahul, I'm making a different point.
Oh, you want the bulldozer to also go and knock down the office of the
I'm making
DM.
a different point.
Okay, what is the point?
My point is that rule of law should not look at the media and should not work when CM.
That is true. That's the point I made. I said this should have happened organically. If a complaint comes to you, investigate it without fear of favor and proceed. I agree.
My point is action should be taken against those officials who allowed this structure to come up.
Okay. Dr. Mishra, the point is that you are saying, okay, we started late, but can you ensure that departmental action is also taken against those chaps or those officials who might have buried all these complaints?
I think
yes.
You must. Will it happen?
I think Chief Secretary has already set up an inquiry on this issue, and everything will come to me in media everywhere.
We'll be tracking that too.
Lawful action will be taken for those who are.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
anyone
what else
part of a
need?
collusion?
But I want to show one photograph in which
Yes.
I want to show that this photograph in which you can see this is Swami Prasad Maurya with that particular chap.
Yeah.
Okay, this Swami Prasad Maurya, when he joined BJP, this person is accompanying him, and still he is working under him, according to me. Otherwise, there is no political support from BJP. He is not a member from BJP. It is official statement of BJP that he is not our member. He is not our. Okay. But even then.
Sanjay Jha, let's bring in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, look, action has begun.
Its own action across the party line.
Okay. The BJP is making a great virtue out of the fact that they are better than the opposition. That's why they are in power. Very quick response.
Rahul, let me just remind the BJP that in Uttar Pradesh you have had Hathras, you have had Unnao, you have had Lakhimpur Kheri. So Dr. Mishra should be the last person on earth giving the people or the viewers of Times Now a lecture on the sanctimoniousness or the self-righteousness.
No, but
that
Sanjay Jha, you are playing the role of look, yes, there have been horrible crimes.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish now. Let me finish. Give me 30 seconds.
Rahul,
I believe that the Supreme Court was right when the Supreme Court said that the bulldozer cannot be retaliatory, it cannot be opportunistic, it has to follow a certain process of law. And as far as I'm concerned, whether it is a BJP guy who is today the culprit or tomorrow from Samajwadi Party or some other party, as long as the legal constitutional principles of this country are not being violated, nobody will have a problem. But as Anand also rightly pointed out, that if this illegal structure has been existing for the last 5 years, and Mr. Adityanath...
3 years, there were complaints about it, yes, 3 years. And I agree with you. Look, there is no doubt, viewers.
And we can't have kangaroo courts, Rahul.
No, 1 second. There is a complaint. This is an palpable illegality. The house has not been knocked down. Just the illegal part, the encroached part has been knocked down. Now, look, I am not somebody who is going to sit here and underwrite bulldozers running through people's properties or compounds, etc., etc. I also believe that due process must be followed, and that's very, very crucial. But I am looking at what is a palpable sense of the reversal, viewers, of an injustice, done obviously at the behest of Times Now that picked up this story. We're very proud today, viewers, that this has become a national subject. Whether it's the Hindi media today or it's the press in the vernacular, that is any language in other states beyond English, or the English media, everyone is debating it. Times Now always sets the agenda of the country, our agenda, viewers, and that's what is very, very important. We made a start. Let's all come and support this beginning. Let's not start politicizing this, because once again, the will of the people will be weakened. Let's all stand with them. Let's ensure that we become their voice. I want to move on, because viewers, there's another very big story that we want to focus on tonight. And that story is Delhi-centric. In fact, viewers, it's a story that compromises. I'm wrong. It might be centered here in Delhi, but it compromises or has the potential to compromise the nation's territorial integrity. Viewers, a college student of the Jamia University has been arrested by the NIA for alleged links to the Islamic State, the ISIS. As you know, the ISIS wants to establish a caliphate in India. Mohsin Ahmed collected money allegedly for the Hindu-phobic organization from sympathizers and wired it to Syria using cryptocurrency. That's the charge against him. It's a very serious charge. The NIA is investigating this case. But moments after he was arrested by the NIA, an AAP MLA called Amanatullah Khan has said that Ahmed is the victim of the deeply Islamophobic tilt of anti-terror agencies or law enforcement agencies like the NIA, like the police, that want to defame, persecute and punish ordinary Muslims to serve the interests of the NDA, the BJP, some sort of saffron agenda. Viewers, this is being said by a very responsible individual, an MLA of a political party that aspires today to rule a very sensitive border state of Punjab. It is the incumbent government there. Now viewers, what is the message that we are sending out here? This MLA is clearly playing to a gallery. Many people are today saying that he's spreading disaffection. One community looking at these pictures, convinced of the injustice, will become very upset. There'll be a backlash. There'll be greater radicalization. Who knows? Surely the MLA, who's a man familiar with the law, tasked with making law, should have respected the Lakshman Rekha of the law, which is, viewers, that you don't give a clean chit before the courts get the opportunity to assess the proof and deliver a verdict. You don't preempt a court. Let's open this up, viewers. We don't have much time to lose, and I want to ask a basic question today, and it's a question that will go out straight away to those in the opposition that are supporting or are supportive of this particular MLA, Amanatullah Khan. And I want to go straight across to Tausif Ahmed and ask him a straight question. Mr. Tausif Ahmed, how can you immediately attribute bias to the NIA? How can you today immediately jump in and say that, oh, this person is part of a larger conspiracy to, in the words of Amanatullah Khan, badnaam karo, pareshan karo Muslims? How can you say this?
Rahul, because that has been the trend.
Really?
You see, if we are talking about NIA, there are very capable They are a very capable agency and there are very capable officers, no doubt about that. I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah.
But let us look at the data. 2019, NIA framed a similar charge against 4 Muslim youth that they are going to establish an Islamic State, and 1 year later they dropped those charges. Very recently on May 9th, Delhi court.
You said they dropped the charges. How does that make them biased?
5 people who
No,
were
you said
arrested.
drop the charges. How does that make them biased? Explain. If they
I'm
dropped the
coming
charges,
to
they
the
didn't find
point.
anything against them, they dropped
I am
it.
coming to the point. You let me finish.
They are fair.
May 9th, the court said, while acquitting 5 people after 9 years, they were arrested 9 years ago. All of them Muslims, you know, and they were arrested when they were 22 years old. They were acquitted after 9 years. What did the court say? The court said that those cases were based on surmises and conjectures rather than any credible evidence.
That's okay.
So
That's
if
okay.
the
The NIA went there. They tried to. No, that's hang on.
No,
There are many. One second, sir.
Collateral damage.
No, 1 second. Tawseef Ahmed, does that mean we should not arrest anybody? There is check and balance, and that check and balance works. But I want to viewers draw your attention to certain facts. Is the NIA biased? Are our agencies biased? 1 minute, Tawseef Saab. You said let's look at data. Don't look at data in isolation. Let's look at the whole picture. The NIA is around for 13 years, viewers. And look at these figures that I'm putting out on our screen. This is a reply, part of a reply given to the Lok Sabha. Yes, 1 second, Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan is holding something up. I'll come to you in 30 seconds. Let me just bring our viewers into this by pointing out certain hard facts. You know, viewers, on India Upfront, the hard facts form the backbone of our show. Why? Because I want you to know the facts, so you will get closer to the truth. The NIA has been around for about 13 years. Total cases filed are about 400 plus, just a bit over 400. Challans issued were 349 cases. Arrests 2,494. Convicted 391. Conviction ratio 93.25%. That means of all the cases the NIA brings to court, 93% of them end in conviction. That's a big number. So on facts, statistics, yeah, there are exceptions, but do they define the norm? I'm sorry, sir, the facts don't bear this out, Tawseef Ahmed. This is a scurrilous attempt at defaming the Indian state, and I want to bring in Doctor. No, there's no conjecture, sir. These are facts. Go please check the Lok Sabha.
Credible evidence. That is the.
No, this is not right.
Credible
No,
evidence.
Tawseef Ahmed, this is not right. You have been today unmasked. You have been unmasked by. You have been unmasked by our show, India Upfront. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. No, he's also pointing to certain facts.
Don't talk about inflation.
No. Come on. Now listen, Tawseef Ahmed. Listen, Tawseef Ahmed, if I were to talk about inflation, 1 minute, if I were to talk about inflation, you're not willing to accept those facts either.
Otherwise,
oh gosh,
will start ruling.
Oh gosh,
raise your voice against inflation, against price rise, Muslim will start ruling.
Thunderous words today from Ahmed. Look at the way he's changed the goalpost. He started out with trying to prove that the NIA is biased. I confront him with facts, then he changes it all to
facts?
inflation.
I have given you facts.
Okay, yeah, sir.
May 9th court judgment.
Please. One case, 2 cases, these happen.
No, there's a list of cases.
Okay, 1 second. Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in.
If you give me time, I'll give you all the.
Oh, yes, please, sir. Come on, I've given you the statistics. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
1 or 2 examples you're giving.
Rahul, I beg half the time that you've given to my good friend Tawseef to be given to me, because I am going to talk only facts. This is a Times Now article. And the case that Tawseef Bhai is talking about, indeed 4 people were charged by NIA. But then the court sentenced 2 of them to 7 years in jail in ISIS related case. 16 July 2022. What is he talking about? And why is he talking so selectively? There have been dozens of cases where people from Kerala have been charged for being either joining ISIS or supporting ISIS. I mean, is he saying that NIA is so biased that their conviction rate is as paltry as, for example, ET 0.5%? That is not the case. Number 2, this Amanatullah Khan. Very briefly, Rahul, just 30 seconds, because I know you have other panelists as well. Kejriwal wanted Amanatullah arrested. But then what happened?
Amanatullah joined up. And then the two of them started doubting Batla case and counter, and I want to ask Asif, what were his views about Batla case? He was the one, I remember on your show, Rahul, that was casting aspersions and suspicions on Batla House. He was saying it was a fake encounter. I want him to repeat what his words were, that Batla House was a fake encounter. Asif, say it. Say today that Batla House was fake encounter as you said 2 years ago. Say it, Asif.
Why are you embarrassing him? Poor fellow. Don't embarrass him. Let him go. Dr. Ranganathan, this is the point. When you bring facts, one second. No, hang on. I'm not going to allow you now. 1 minute, 30 seconds, please. I just want to go back to a few facts, viewers, more facts. You see, there was a time when the Samajwadi Party said withdraw cases against the Varanasi blast accused. Viewers, they moved to do so. But you know what? The court convicted all the terror suspects in the Varanasi blast. So had we gone by the SP, those people today would have been sitting free. Maybe would have joined ISIS and would have been waging war against us from across the border or across the 7 seas. Batla House. So frightened. Dr. Ranganathan brought up Batla House. Anti-terror op was dismissed as a fake encounter. There were the AAP chief minister who did so. Several others. Sonia Gandhi cried buckets.
Right.
We were told. The AAP chief minister, the Delhi chief minister, AAP leader Mr. Kejriwal demanded an independent probe, judicial probe. But the court rejected the contention that this was a fake encounter and convicted the accused. That's what, viewers, the facts are. Amanatullah Khan accused the special cell of the Delhi police for witch hunting Muslims when they arrested Tahir Hussain, from whose rooftop all sorts of incendiary material was recovered. Prime accused in the 2020 Delhi riots case. This is a man today that is getting support. Nalin Kohli, the charge is that your agencies under you are being selective. They are Islamophobic. They want to punish and persecute Muslims. I would like you to respond to this direct accusation on the back of what we are seeing today.
Thank you, Rahul. 3 points. The first is the NIA is a first-class agency, and you've yourself given out the data of their extremely impressive conviction rate of over 90%. Second, that Islam is misused by a section of people is the argument used by our Muslim friends and colleagues. And they point out that that is the reason that you see organizations like the ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram and the works. There are terrorist attacks across the world. It's not as if they don't happen, and nobody is blind to it. And those who are genuinely concerned about it from among the Muslim community, they even condemn it in unequivocal terms and are not sympathizers in an indirect way for this kind of thinking. So that's the second part to it. 3, it is the collective duty of every human being, and then of course every citizen, and thereafter in our country every Muslim, to ensure that their own religions, because after all it is their religion which is being misused by a small fraction of people to justify killings or to do bomb blasts, etc., to do their duty to ensure such elements don't grow. Now the last argument. India is a secular country. From 47 we chose to be a constitutionally driven republic. In this country we are Indians first. But I see unfortunately a set of political people or those connected with political parties trying to play this Muslim victim card and trying to say that they are Muslims first rather than Indians first, which is a dangerous trend and not correct. If someone is involved in terrorism or supporting terrorism, we all have a collective duty, because the terrorist bomb does not see whether a Hindu is dying or a Muslim or a Christian or a Parsi or a Jew. It goes there to hurt or maim a citizen or a human being. The second is we all have a collective duty that the court cases must happen at the earliest. Now yes, there are cases where correctly, as even say Tausi picks up one example, in which half the truth is there, that somebody may have been wrongly charge sheeted. But then we must also remember that there are equal number of cases in which the charge sheet has led to a conviction. So let's not run down the agencies who are working day and night to protect you and me.
You see, viewers, if Sadhvi Pragya is given relief and the court passes a stricture, or let me actually point to not an if and a but case, but let me just point to what the Supreme Court said with regards to the Gujarat riot cases. The Prime Minister has been given an absolute clean chit. And you know what was said, viewers? That an attempt was made to frame him. Now when the courts say that, then the courts are wrong. Sibal says he loses hope in the courts, especially the Supreme Court. He cited this. But when the courts reprimand the agency concerned, the NIA, for releasing a group of Muslims, the courts become absolutely divine. Now, how does this work? How does this work, Professor Atikur Rahman? How does this work, sir? Why bring religion into dispensation of law? Why? What are you trying to say?
Rahul, first thing first. As you said in your initial remarks, Rahul, that the Islamic State, ISIS, wants to set a Islamic caliphate in India. To the best of my knowledge, Rahul, the ISIS is dead throughout the world.
Sir, please.
I do not understand why in India.
Stop. Now you will say that no, please. Now this, this is ridiculous. So now you're saying the whole case is based on a fiction against an imagined sort of terror group. Please, sir, spare us this. Come on, Professor Saab, you're an educated man, you're in charge of educating people, and you're spreading this sort of, this is disinformation. This is not even misinformation, this is disinformation. Now you're being told,
to the best of my knowledge,
sir, your knowledge is
correct. You
clearly, no sir, don't add this
ISIS
clever,
concept.
no, best of your knowledge, no sir, it can't be. Sorry, you're too intelligent a person.
You educate me, sir.
We must
you educated,
Professor.
Come on, I don't need to educate you, the facts are there. Islamic State is taking onus for terror attacks, and we are being told the ISIS is running out of Kabul today. The ISIS is running out of Kabul, and I'm being told, viewers, today by this gentleman that the ISIS doesn't exist. To the best of my knowledge, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to waste my time and your time, viewers, our time.
10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Ranganathan, 10 seconds. Yes.
Yes, just to counter factually, Professor Rahman, you know the Gorakhnath attacker Muhammad Murtaza a few months ago, who was caught, who was about to commit a terrorist act against Gorakhnath temple, he was arrested. He was transferring equivalent of $1 million odd rupees to ISIS subsidiaries based in Europe. What are you saying that ISIS is dead? I'm sorry. Professor Rahman, much as you and I would like it to be dead, it's not.
This is a red herring deliberately thrown in there now to discredit the entire matter. This is what it is, viewers. This is the extent of denial. I leave it at this. If we're not even going to recognize that there is a terror organization that the United Nations has proscribed and is still in existence, works out of Afghanistan, has set up shop there, is fighting actually the Al-Qaeda, God alone knows where to start on this debate. I leave it at that. News are coming up with Navika Kumar. Sorry, Professor Giri, I couldn't come to you. Too much knowledge today on this show. I didn't want to risk being disinformed by you also. Let it go. Yes, thank you. Sorry. show tonight, viewers.
Nitish Kumar calling party meet adds fuel to the buzz of the rift between the BJP and JDU alliance. Insiders say JDU walking out of NDA is on table as party ties with the BJP dip to an all-time low. Uttar Pradesh government officials used a bulldozer and hammers to remove illegal structures outside the residence of absconding Shrikant Tyagi in Noida. Tyagi had encroached a portion of the common area of the society in front of his flat by constructing temporary structures like pillars and tiles. In the Ayodhya land controversy case, enquiry report is to be submitted. Development Authorities promises actions, says no clouters will be spared and political clout will not affect action. War has begun over controversial Eidgah Maidan in Bengaluru after the BBMP declared it as revenue land. While the Waqf Board chairman says it is violation of Supreme Court order and the BBMP has said permission was given for prayers but never it gave loan.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ.
He has openly confessed, he has openly admitted. In fact, taking this cognizance, I think our agencies should book a case, should really book a case against him and also make an enquiry, because he would be knowing who are all the beneficiaries.
Ladies and gentlemen, this person on your screen, Shrikant Tyagi, a self-proclaimed Bahubali and Neta of Noida, was raining blood-curdling abuses on a woman resident in broad daylight. He thought he could get away by pulling off any stunt just because he's a Neta. Today his arrogance was crushed and bulldozed by the Yogi government. Yes, today the same threatening Tyagi is hiding somewhere because the Yogi Sarkar has opened a front against this Neta cum gangster. As bulldozers razed the encroached property, government officials with hammers struck down Tyagi's illegal citadel. The message is loud and clear. Qanoon is the same for all. The high and the mighty too will face action if they try to break the law. The state government has sent out a strong message that it has zero tolerance for those who think they are above the law. Listen in to the UP top cop.
घटना को शासन ने तथा डीजीपी यूपी ने बहुत गंभीरता से लिया है और इस संबंध में मुख्य अभियुक्त की गिरफ्तारी के तत्काल निर्देश दिए गए हैं। अभी तक जो कार्रवाइयां की गई हैं उसमें वहां के प्रभारी निरीक्षक को सस्पेंड किया गया है तथा जो घटना के बाद वहां उस सोसाइटी में एक सब इंस्पेक्टर तथा 4 कांस्टेबल की ड्यूटी लगाई गई थी सुरक्षा हेतु। उनके द्वारा अपने कार्य को सही ढंग से न करने के आरोप में उन्हें भी निलंबित किया गया है। इस तरह की घटना न होने पाए तथा इस अभियुक्त के गिरफ्तारी के लिए विशेष टीमें गठित की गई हैं।
This is not the only action taken. The state has ambushed the sexist Neta with crackdowns. His luxury cars have been impounded. The probe is taking place as per the Gangster Act. Rupees 25,000 bounty has been announced for information on him, and his shops are also being raided by GST teams. The end game of Tyagi is in its final stages. Listen in to what the residents make out of this crackdown.
बहुत खुश हैं। ये काम पहले हो जाना चाहिए, 2 साल पहले हो जाना चाहिए था, बट आज हो रहा है, बहुत अच्छा।
आप लोग बहुत दिन से कंप्लेन कर रहे थे इसके बारे में, तो अभी फाइनली एक्शन हो गया।
अभी एक्शन हो गया और सबके लिए बहुत अच्छा हुआ है।
आप लोग को जो प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी उसका जस्टिस डिलीवर हो गया?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, अगर ये हो जाता है और वो इंसान जेल के अंदर आ जाता है तो ये और भी अच्छा होगा। नाउ वी आर फीलिंग सो सेफ and we are thinking our government is with us, so now we should not scared from anyone.
This is very good because this encroachment is not allowed for anyone, and this is illegal. This was completely illegal, so this should not be done, and I think this is the right what has to be done. पहले से ये होना ही चाहिए था.
We are very happy.
3 साल पहले होना तो जो आज हुआ, लेकिन जो हुआ बहुत अच्छे के लिए हुआ। लोगों को ये सबक मिलनी चाहिए कि जितने भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शंस है, एनक्रोचमेंट्स है, वो खत्म होनी चाहिए।
Whatever it is, the final product is that it has been demolished. We are happy with that.
योगी जी के इस कार्रवाई से बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ के रेजिडेंट खुश हैं और जो नोएडा अथॉरिटी है उनके सीईओ हैं उनकी भी इस कार्रवाई से बहुत खुश हैं। हालांकि उन्हें ये एक्शन पहले ले लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन जो हुआ देर आए दुरुस्त आए। ये जो मिठाई आई है इस कार्रवाई की वजह से आई है। आज यहाँ की जनता बहुत खुश है, लेकिन किसी के नुकसान होने पर मिठाई नहीं बांटी जाती, लेकिन जो मिठाई बांटते हैं लोग वो कहीं ना कहीं दुखी होते हैं और उनको ये चीज देखने को मिलती है, तभी वो मिठाई बांटते हैं।
The options for Tyagi are shrinking and he's running against time. 8 teams of Noida police are in hot pursuit. The court has asked him to surrender within 48 hours. His goons who went to hunt down the victim have been sent to a 14-day custody. But his lawyer says he's been framed. Listen in.
हाँ, सरेंडर करना चाहते हैं, क्यों नहीं? वो अपराधी नहीं है। अरे किसी के खिलाफ में कोई शिकायत हुई है, उसमें कोर्ट के सामने सरेंडर करना चाहता है। आप एक दिन में गैंगस्टर लगा देते हैं, दूसरे दिन आप इनाम बोल देते हैं। कितने लोगों के खिलाफ आपने इस तरह की प्रोसीडिंग्स की? एक व्यक्ति के साथ जाते नहीं है क्या? कोर्ट में रूटीन में सरेंडर मांगने पर रिपोर्ट मंगाते, रिपोर्ट मंगाइए थाने से, थाने वालों को रिपोर्ट देनी है। ये कोई इतना बड़ा मामला नहीं है, ना ही ऐसा मामला है कि जिसके लिए आप देश प्रदेश में बात कर पाए। यहीं रहेंगे, कहाँ जाएगा? जिसे सरेंडर करना जो वो तो क्लीन हैंड सामने आना चाह रहा आपके।
But the opposition is unimpressed despite Yogi ramming home the zero tolerance message. The opposition continues to link Tyagi to BJP despite the latter denying any link to the abusive Neta. Listen in.
And this action you have very well seen after taking directions from the Honorable Chief Minister. Immediately the Commissioner and the District Magistrate reached to the site and action has been taken against that. He has been booked under Gangster Act. 25,000 rupees price has been declared on him, and even that the property which has been illegally constructed has been broken down.
सबसे पहले तो मैं कहूँगी उसकी गिरफ्तारी ना होने की वजह सबसे बड़ी ये है क्योंकि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से जुड़े हुए हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी का छोटे से छोटा नेता, बड़े से बड़ा नेता, वो पुलिस की चुंगल से निकल जाता है। वो कितनी भी बदतमीजी कर ले महिलाओं से, उनके साथ दुर्व्यवहार कर ले, पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी की पूरी संरक्षण उनको मिलती है। पुलिस उनको पकड़ नहीं पा रही है, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
एक तो ये बात हो गई कि वो सदस्य ही नहीं है। दूसरी बात यह है कि देखिए पार्टी हमारी बिल्कुल इस संकल्प के साथ कि जो सही है वो होगा, जो गलत होने नहीं देंगे और जो सही है वही होगा, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग आगे बढ़े हैं। न्याय सबके साथ होगा, कानून व्यवस्था की जो सिचुएशन है उसके साथ किसी को भी खिलवाड़ करने की इजाजत नहीं मिलेगी, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग बढ़े हैं। तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं, एक तो यह व्यक्ति सदस्य था नहीं, दूसरा कोई हो ना हो, कितना भी बड़ा क्यों ना हो, इन जनरल भी मैं इस बात को मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं कि अगर वो गलत किया है तो उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई होगी, कोई बचा नहीं सकता उसे।
उत्तर प्रदेश में भाजपा का गुंडा सरेआम एक महिला से, बदतमीजी तो बहुत छोटा शब्द है, गुंडागर्दी करता है। जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग किया वो हम सार्वजनिक जीवन में बोल नहीं सकते हैं, वो फरार है। कानून राज की बात उत्तर प्रदेश में ना करे, क्योंकि ये तो हम शुरू से कह रहे थे, यही है उत्तर प्रदेश के कानून की असलियत। मंत्री जी फाइल लेकर गायब हैं और त्यागी जी जो है वो फरार हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस कहीं मिल नहीं रही है। वहां का सांसद ही कह रहा है शर्मिंदगी महसूस हो रही है कि इस प्रदेश में हमारी सरकार है, तो विपक्ष के लिए मुझे लगता है बहुत कुछ कहने को बचा नहीं है।
And that brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Is law ka raj above Gunda Raj in Uttar Pradesh? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Ghanshyam Tiwari, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Chitranshi Singh, NGO worker and neighbor of Ina from the OMAC Society. But my first question goes to Rakesh Tripathi, spokesperson of the Uttar Pradesh BJP. राकेश त्रिपाठी जी, मेरा सीधा सवाल है कि 72 घंटे बाद त्यागी जी यानी कि बाहुबली जो कहते थे वो बीजेपी के नेता हैं, वो अब तक घूम रहे हैं और कल सांसद को जाना पड़ा क्योंकि गुंडे घुस गए थे ओमैक्स सोसाइटी में। बावजूद इसके कि उनका जो वीडियो था गाली गलौज वाला वो वायरल था, मीडिया 48 घंटे से स्टोरी कवर कर रही थी, फिर भी आप देख लीजिए कितना निडर होके गुंडे वहां चले गए। सांसद आए, सांसद फोन लगा रहे हैं, तब जागी प्रशासन उत्तर प्रदेश की। और आप कह रहे हैं कि ये सबका साथ, सबका विकास और महिला सुरक्षा का फॉर्मूला है।
देखिए नमिका, सबसे पहले तो ये कोई बाहुबली नहीं है, कोई छुटभैये स्तर का व्यक्ति है और ऐसे व्यक्ति को नेता कहना पूरी राजनीतिक जमात का अपमान करना है। ऐसे व्यक्ति, जो व्यक्ति अपने पड़ोस के साथ संबंध ठीक न रख सकते हो, जिसको भाषाई मर्यादा ना आती हो, किसी महिला के साथ किस तरह से व्यवहार करना हो ये उसको तमीज ना हो, ऐसे व्यक्ति को राजनीतिक कार्यकर्ता नहीं कहा जा सकता। नेता तो खैर कहना दूर की बात है। और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता, ये पूरी तरह से विपक्ष के द्वारा दुष्प्रचार किया जा रहा है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता है। ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कहीं किसी भी प्रकार से न राष्ट्रीय न प्रदेश में किसी पोस्ट को होल्ड नहीं करता है। और इस पर जिस तरह की कार्रवाई उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार ने की है, इससे स्पष्ट हो गया है कि कोई नेताओं के साथ फोटो खिंचा ले तो फोटो खिंचा करके वो शेल्टर नहीं पा सकता है। अगर वो फोटो खिंचा करके कानून तोड़ेगा तो उसका पोस्टर जारी होगा, उसका फोटो चौराहे पर लगेगा। आज उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस ने इसका फोटो जारी किया है 25,000 रुपए की इनाम की सूचना के साथ कि जिसको भी दिखाई पड़े, जिसको भी सूचना देगा वो 25,000 रुपए का इनाम मिलेगा। किसी भी मामले में इतनी त्वरित गति से कार्रवाई हो, ऐसी कोई नजर बेनजीर उत्तर प्रदेश में इससे पहले की नहीं रही है।
आज क्यों जारी हुआ फोटो, आज क्यों जारी हुआ फोटो? ये स्टोरी मीडिया पर फ्राइडे की शाम से है, यानी कि 72 घंटे पहले से है। तो 72 घंटे लगे फोटो जारी करने में। क्या वीकेंड पे उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस काम नहीं करती है, छुट्टी होती है उनकी?
नहीं, वीकेंड पर भी पुलिस लगातार इसको प्रयास कर रही थी गिरफ्तारी करने के लिए। टीमें गठित की गई है, पुलिस ने पहले भी छापेमारी की कार्रवाई की है, और जब पुलिस के पास कोई सूचना नहीं मिल पा रही है, पुलिस के हाथ में नहीं आया है, तो पुलिस अगले स्तर की कार्रवाई करती है। और ये पुलिस के काम करने का तरीका होगा कि पुलिस पहले इनाम घोषित करती है, फिर आगे जरूरत होगी तो 82-83 की कुर्की की कार्रवाई भी जारी की जाएगी, एब्सकॉन्ड घोषित किया जाएगा, बुलडोजर चलाया गया है इलीगल।
चलिए भाई साहब, एक और मेरा सवाल है, मुझे थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन है, तो मैं पूछ रही हूं कि कल गुंडों का इतना हौसला हो गया कि वो फिर से घुस गए। अब वही जो भागे फिर रहा है और जिसके ऊपर पुलिस की कार्रवाई होने वाली है, वो उसके गुंडे फिर से घुस गए सोसाइटी में, और फिर सांसद साहब को आना पड़ा, फोन लगाना पड़ा होम सेक्रेटरी को, तब जाके पुलिस हरकत में आई। ये कैसा कानून का राज है?
नहीं, देखिए, कहीं कहीं निश्चित तौर पर यहां स्थानीय पुलिसकर्मियों की लापरवाही रही है। एक दरोगा और 4
तो ये स्थानीय पुलिस किसके अंडर आती है सर?
कर्तव्य में
ये स्थानीय पुलिस किसके अंडर आती है?
नहीं, उन स्थानीय पुलिसकर्मियों पर कार्रवाई की गई है। एसएचओ को सस्पेंड किया गया है, जिस दरोगा और
सांसद के फोन के बाद,
जो अपनी ड्यूटी करने
सांसद के फोन के बाद सस्पेंशन हुई है। महिला के बारे में जो कुछ हुआ उसके बाद नहीं जागी आपकी स्थानीय एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, सांसद को फोन करना पड़ा। तो यानी महिला के साथ कोई भी दुष्व्यवहार कर ले तब नहीं जागती प्रशासन, सांसद फोन करते हैं तब जागती है प्रशासन, उसके बाद सस्पेंशन होते हैं। मैं पूछना चाहती हूं आपसे घनश्याम तिवारी जी, क्या यह है यूपी का मॉडल?
नमस्कार आपको, दर्शकों को और को पैनलिस्ट को। अगर कोई साधारण सा सर्च करे, मुझे लगता है टाइम्स नाउ को भी तस्वीर दिखाई कि
श्रीकांत त्यागी भारतीय जनता पार्टी का भारी भरकम नेता, जिसने अपने पोस्ट में लिखा है, मैं पढ़ के सुना देता हूं कि वो नेशनल एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल का मेंबर है, वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी किसान मोर्चा का मेंबर है, नेशनल कोऑर्डिनेटर है, युवा किसान समिति का सदस्य है, कम से कम 7-8 साल से तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता रहा है, जिसकी तस्वीर योगी आदित्यनाथ के साथ है, जिसकी तस्वीर केशव प्रसाद मौर्य के साथ है, स्वतंत्र देव सिंह के साथ है, ओम बिरला जी के साथ है, नड्डा जी के साथ है। जो जब इतनी सारी तस्वीरों के बावजूद यहाँ पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रवक्ता कह रहे हैं कि इस तरह के नेता का भारतीय जनता पार्टी से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, इसका मतलब साफ है भारतीय जनता पार्टी की संस्कृति झूठ और गुंडई और इस तरह के दुर्व्यवहार पर आधारित है। लेकिन अगर आप पकड़े जाते हैं तो फिर अगर आप अजय मिश्रा जैसे आपकी इन्फ्लुएंशियल पिता नहीं है तो आप फरार रहिए। अगर इतनी ही भारतीय जनता पार्टी में सच्चाई होती तो अभी तक त्यागी के कॉल रिकॉर्ड आप सार्वजनिक कीजिए, पता चल जाएगा कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कितने नेताओं से के पास कॉल आए हैं। अंतिम बात, मैंने उसी ओमेक सोसाइटी में एक महिला का वीडियो ट्विटर पे ही देखा, एक न्यूज चैनल ने शेयर किया था, जो कह रही कि जो गुंडे गए थे उनमें से कई सारे गुंडे महेश शर्मा के सांसद के साथ उनकी तस्वीरें हैं। तो अब महेश शर्मा जी वहां गए थे और वो अपनी शर्मिंदगी का एहसास करा रहे थे, उस समय वो जो गुंडे गए थे उनकी तस्वीरें जो उनके साथ है। तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी में कौन नेता है और कौन गुंडा है, ये तो इस पे निर्भर करता है किसका वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है। वीडियो वायरल नहीं हुआ तो आप नेता हैं, वीडियो वायरल हो गया तो आप गुंडे हैं, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी आपको पहचानने से इनकार कर देगी। इसमें से जितने नेताओं के मैंने नाम दिए हैं, इनमें से किसी ने एक ट्वीट करके भी अपनी शर्मिंदगी नहीं जताई, ये नहीं कहा कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी में
त्रिपाठी जी बहुत संगीन चार्ज है, जवाब दीजिए। घनश्याम तिवारी जी ने आपसे जो सवाल पूछे हैं, इसका जवाब आपको देना चाहिए पब्लिक को।
देखिए नविका, आपके सवाल तो बिल्कुल वाजिब है और आप सवाल पूछें, आपका सवाल पूछना जायज है, लेकिन सूप बोले तो सूप जल्दी भी बोले जिसमें 72 छेद। ये घनश्याम तिवारी समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता एक एक करके नाम बता रहा हूं, और ये नाम कुछ छुटभइये नेताओं का नहीं, कोई वार्ड स्तर के पार्षद का नहीं। इनके पार्टी के राधेश्याम सिंह इनकी सरकार के मंत्री थे, राजकिशोर सिंह इनकी सरकार में मंत्री थे, नारद राय इनकी सरकार में मंत्री थे, विनोद कुमार सिंह पंडित सिंह इनकी सरकार के मंत्री थे। ये मंत्रियों के नाम बता रहा हूं, और आपके देख रहे दर्शक जरा गूगल पर इनका नाम डाल करके गाली के साथ सर्च कर ले। गालियां ऐसी हैं कि सार्वजनिक तौर पर अपने परिवार के साथ बैठ करके उसको मत सुनिएगा, हेडफोन लगा के सुनिएगा। इस तरह की गालियां देने वाले इनकी पार्टी के मंत्री सुशोभित हुआ करते थे, और एक भी मंत्री पर कार्रवाई कभी की हो, किसी के घर पर बुलडोजर चलवाया हो, किसी के ऊपर गैंगस्टर लगाया हो, किसी पर जीएसटी की कोई कार्रवाई की हो, कहीं पर किसी पर इनाम घोषित किया हो? शर्म नहीं आती है? समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता जो अपराधियों को अपने यहां महिमा मंडित करने का काम करते हो, वो आ जाकर के भारतीय जनता पार्टी पर आरोप लगा रहे हैं। ऐसे किसी भी छुटभैये के आधार पर आप भारतीय जनता पार्टी की चाल चेहरे चरित्र पर आप कलंक नहीं लगा सकते हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ऐसे किसी भी व्यक्ति को, ऐसे किसी भी तत्व को स्वीकार नहीं करेगी जो महिलाओं के साथ अभद्र व्यवहार रखता हो, जो इस प्रकार की गुंडागर्दी करने का पक्षधर होता हो। ऐसे लोगों को भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से बहुत कठोर एक्शन देखने को मिलेगा, और सरकार ने आज कठोर एक्शन करके दिखाया है। इतना कम समय में उस पर इनाम घोषित करना, उस पर गैंगस्टर की कार्रवाई करना, बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई करना, जीएसटी के द्वारा उसके तमाम जो आर्थिक साम्राज्य है उस पर कार्रवाई करना, चहुओर चौतरफा वार उस पर सरकार की ओर से किया गया है। एक साफ संदेश, सख्त संदेश जाना चाहिए कि जो लोग भी फोटो खिंचा करके किसी नेताओं के साथ इस मुगालते में रहते हैं कि अब उनको राजनीतिक संरक्षण मिल सकता है, उनको यह मालूम हो जाना चाहिए कि अब उत्तर प्रदेश में अखिलेश यादव जी का शासन नहीं है, मायावती जी का शासन नहीं है। यहां कोई राहुल गांधी नहीं आए बचाने के लिए, कोई अशोक गहलोत नहीं आएंगे बचाने के लिए, जो ये कहते हो कि महिलाओं के साथ रेप के बाद हत्या इसलिए होने लगी क्योंकि अब रेप विक्टिम्स के लिए कठोर कानून बना दिए गए हैं। इस प्रकार के कुतर्क कहने वाले कांग्रेस के नेता
प्रकाश जी हमारे साथ हैं। 1 minute, I'm coming to you, Tehseen. I'm coming to you, Tehseen.
One sentence, please.
Yes,
throughout this discussion, Rakesh Tripathi did not say whether he's a member. In the opening dialogue, he said he's not a member of Bharatiya Janata Party. When I exposed, he did not deny that. This is the true face of Bharatiya Janata Party. That झूठ बोलो और बेहिचक झूठ बोलते रहो, दूसरे को पर आरोप उठाते रहो। तमाम तस्वीरें, इनको माफी मांगनी चाहिए। इस लाइव डिबेट से भी झूठ बोलने, झूठ से अपनी शुरुआत करते हैं। पहले आपको ये स्वीकारना पड़ेगा कि आपका बड़ा नेता है, जिसके आपके हर बड़े नेता के साथ तस्वीरें हैं, और उनमें से किसी को शर्म नहीं है कि उन तस्वीरों के बारे में एक शब्द बोल सके। झूठ से एक
बड़ा नेता हमारी पार्टी का, ये भी
आप बहुत बड़े नेता नहीं बन जाएंगे।
नहीं, बड़ा नेता हमारी पार्टी का है या नहीं है, यह भी समाजवादी पार्टी तय करेगी। मैं तो पूछ रहा हूं कि समाजवादी पार्टी के मंत्रियों के नाम बताए हैं, एक भी मैंने आपको आरोप गलत लगाया तो बताइए।
उनके मंत्रियों के नाम बताने से श्रीकांत त्यागी का जो जुर्म है वो कम नहीं हो जाता और उसको सर्टिफिकेट नहीं मिल जाता। राकेश त्रिपाठी जी, ये तो आप मानेंगे। मैं स्मिता प्रकाश, आई वांट टू गो टू स्मिता प्रकाश। You know, point scoring on everything, is that all that politics has come down to, governance has come down to? I want to ask you, today the BJP is trying to justify that, well, आज चौतरफा हमने action ले लिया. Do you think this is something to be proud of? The woman and the video in which she's being abused and treated so abominably by this man who's called Tyagi. Some reports say he's a BJP strongman. Other reports say that BJP has nothing to do with it. I want to ask you, can somebody without political, blessings, can he take an action of this kind? And look at the businesses this guy has. He has shops, he has, CNG pipeline business, he's supposed to be a local strongman, and today the BJP is saying we are distancing ourselves, he doesn't belong to us. 2 years ago, a complaint was made against the illegal construction that he'd done. No action. Can that happen without protection from the local authorities? Just because, there is some stink of him having political connections? And I want to ask you, should we actually go down on our knees and thank them that 6 police personnel have been suspended after 48 hours passed and after a second round of gundas entering the society? Should we actually begin to thank the very good governance in Uttar Pradesh? Is that what the BJP wants today?
I think if anybody has to be thanked, it's those brave women who stood there and created a noise. Finally, the dam of taking it, that you go on taking nonsense. Those women have to be thanked for being brave enough to bring this to the fore. And the other people who need to be patted on the back, despite what the judiciary says about us, is the media, which has put this into sharp focus and brought out the sheer frustration of common people with these kind of goons, this kind of mafiadom, which makes life so difficult for common people in this country. And frankly, the common man or woman in this case, I must say woman, because it's the women who have taken this fight. They don't care if the person is from the BJP or the Samajwadi Party, and to hell with it, even if it is DMK or PFI at this matter, it doesn't matter to those women. It doesn't matter to those people living in the society. It doesn't matter whether Tyagi is a Hindu or a Muslim, upper caste or a lower caste. The fact is that despite any administration coming to power, people like Tyagi, they are the ones who take benefits. They know how to work the systems. They know how to work the administration, the police. One batch of police people will be suspended, another batch will come in. Tyagi and his likes will know how to work the system even with them. Why do you think people want, people want now that people like Tyagi should get their just desserts? It's the reason why, because, there are people who get very angry with the bulldozers, right? They used to get very angry when that bulldozers went in Uttar Pradesh, when it went in Delhi and pulled down the houses of these Bahubalis. But what happened? Who were the persons who were objecting? The persons who were objecting were the ladidas who sit in, these protected zones, who don't have to suffer like common people do. People whose sufferance begins from the start, whose common areas are taken away by these entitled brats, whose in the societies where only one car is allowed to be parked, these Bahubalis 4 गाड़ियां park होंगी, उनके पानी के टंकियां 4 छत पे लग जाएंगी. Everything begins with that. When we get out into the streets, MLA की गाड़ी आएगी, former MLA लिखा होगा, उनके goons निकलेंगी गाड़ी से, they will park the traffic so that the MLA's car can go. क्या कर रहा है वो MLA? क्या कर रहा है वो former MLA, which is so important for the working of the people? जाते नहीं है अपने constituency में. You look at some of the MPs, they don't even go to their constituencies, लेकिन लाल बत्ती लेके हर जगह घूमेंगे. This is why women like what we saw in that society have got out and said, enough of this extra constitutional powers that these people have. Lagao bulldozer nikalo. Why do you think people are clapping? Why do you think Bulldozer Baba has become such an icon? People don't understand, those who come in these fancy cars, who come to TV studios and discuss this, they don't understand the frustration of real people and real problems. So, this building balconies and all that these Bahubalis do, that has to end at some point of time. And I'm so glad that these women have taken over and said that this kind of foul language, this kind of Bahubalism, this kind of gundagardi, it will not be tolerated anymore. And I'm so glad that the media put its spotlight, and I hope that the judiciary is watching for all the horrible things that they say. And maybe I'll be hauled up for contempt before I say Jack Robinson. But please, sir, in black coats, please watch that it's because the media put the glare on what is happening, and that is why common people are actually going to benefit, and people like Tyagi will be put behind bars, hopefully.
Tehseen Poonawala, would you have a question for Bulldozer Baba today, that his bulldozer is secular? Because you'd question that. Everybody questioned that the bulldozer only goes across to those people who belong to a certain community in inverted commas. Today, would you want to clap? Because at the end of the day, that bulldozer is a great leveler, not just of the illegal construction, but also of the frustration. Yes, Tyagi has not been arrested so far. Yes, there has been a 72-hour delay, but the same bulldozer that was taking action in various places in Uttar Pradesh today arrived where there were common people who were suffering, and did what it should have done 2 years ago, but it did it today without endless rounds of investigation, trying to arrest, go to court. There has been action and at least some amount of satisfaction कि भाई कुछ तो होता है यहाँ. Tehseen?
Namaskar Navika ji, namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. I certainly learn a lot from the Bharatiya Janata Party, and I'm one of the biggest critics in the country, but I learn a lot from them. And what I learned from them is how to convert a disaster into a virtue. I mean, the BJP is a master at it. Here is a man who for 3 years kept bullying the people of the society, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, for 3 years, when Adityanath ji was chief minister. And the same system continued to protect him. Today, when his videos went viral due to brave women standing up to him on social media and then extended to wonderful journalists like Smita ji and you and Padmaja and various other journalists on in mainstream media, the BJP comes out and takes credit without an explanation that for why for 3 years was this man being protected. I completely agree to what my friend Ghanshyam is saying. This man, Mr. Tyagi, is in trouble because his video went viral. Had his video not gone viral, the same BJP sitting in your studio would be defending Tyagi as some kind of a nationalist. And let me give you evidence. There were police complaints filed on me when I tweeted the video of Ajay Mishra Teni's son Ashish Mishra mowing down farmers. Police complaints filed. Let of course withdraw it. Till date, Ajay Mishra Teni has not resigned. You, Navika ji and Smita ji fought for the Hathras victim, the Unnao victim, several other victims. We had to go to court. That's when Kuldeep Sengar was removed. Until then, he wasn't removed. Kuldeep Sengar continued to be a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Have they distanced themselves from him now? I don't know. But this is an old habit of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Claim victory when even in defeat. That's how they work. But I have just one last point to make, because so much was spoken about the bulldozer. I continue to stand against instant justice being delivered, whether it's encounters or it's bulldozers, the way it was done. And then illegal encroachment, if there's bulldozers, yes. But if bulldozers are used as a means to justify that the government is strong without taking action for 3 years, or you turn a car turtle and you kill somebody dead, in my opinion, that is anti-constitution. And if somebody thinks that's good, I wish them luck. I think I stand for the Constitution of India, and that makes me a
You stand for the Constitution of India, Tehseen Poonawala. Congratulations. Will you say something about Matloob Ahmed, who's been on the run since the 2nd of April? Any word about that? And what about that Constitution which says action will be taken in a swift manner against rapists, and the Congress Chief Minister comes out and says, oh, the law is extremely strong. That's why
I want to clarify Ashok Gehlot's thing, and I think I owe it to the people to clarify, especially because the women I really respect. What Ashok Gehlot said is something that's very, very pertinent. He said, and I saw this on ANI, Smita ji, he said the number of death cases, the victims who are being killed have increased manifold because of the death penalty, and this is because many a time the rape victim is the only witness. Therefore, to avoid conviction, please allow me to finish, therefore to avoid conviction and eventual death penalty, the victims are being killed.
So now we should make lighter laws so that rape victims are not killed and they survive to tell and relive their horror stories. Smita, how's that for justice and interpretation of the Constitution by the Congress party?
Who instituted that commission, and when was the law formed? It was done during the UPA regime. And even at that time, there were many who said that this is a very stringent law and it can result in this, but not a peep came out of the Congress at that stage. And frankly, now we start debating and looking back at the law and saying that this is what could happen. This is a debate which has carried on from Villaranga times. Okay, at that time also this was said that because of this, that is why Geeta was killed. So I don't even want to go in. That's like 40 years ago. So this debate goes on for a long time. And as far as what Tehseen is saying, that, constitution and law and all that, I totally agree that yes, extra constitutional, this Robin Hood kind of thing, it's wrong. It should not happen. But just tell me, the frustration of people who obey the law, Tehseen. Those who every day, every single day, they see that unbridled power of those people who break the law, and they live in this supreme confidence that law will never catch up with us because they know how to use the system, Tehseen. They buy the law. I'm sorry to say this. You can say anything you want me to say, but it's the rich who have the benefit of going to the courts. The poor don't have it. Look at those women. They had the order for those constructions to be pulled down for 3 years. 3 years they had. But what happened? Nothing happened, right? Because those women themselves said, failed.
No, and may I tell you before I get in Chitranshi, just the last word on Nirbhaya. Well, Nirbhaya happened in the Congress regime. The new laws came in the Congress regime, and in the new laws and the fast track courts, it took Nirbhaya's family 8 years to get justice.
Yeah.
8 years to get justice, Tehseen Poonawalla. Thank you for the constitution, and thank you for everything else that exists in terms of infrastructure for justice being delivered. Well, but let me get in Chitranshi Singh. Chitranshi Singh, do you think 3 years was frustrating, and today when the bulldozers came in, some amount of frustration was set at rest, even though Shrikant Tyagi is still a man on the run, hasn't been caught?
Yeah, Anamika, you are, we can say in our society when the bulldozer has come, then even we can assure that government do something for ours. And I am really confused with this Shrikant Tyagi ji. Previously, when the ruling party for BSP, then he was telling he is from BSP. Then the ruling party is SAPA, he was telling he is from SAPA. Then the BJP comes in ruling party, he was saying in the he is from BJP. That's what's his telling to the society. So actually we all are confused where he is from.
बताइए घनश्याम तिवारी जी, बताइए।
या
हर पार्टी की छत्र छाया में एकदम महफूज, कितना भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन कर लो, हम तो सब पार्टी के हैं, बाहुबली सब पार्टी के होते हैं भैया, भूल गए आप।
October 12, 2019, Times of India, Noida, BJP leaders PSO sit-in resident, Shikhar Salaria. She worked as journalist, Times of India. Right now, Smita Prakash was saying Bulldozer Baba ki jai in different words. The reality is the video, another video was tweeted, including one from Times of India journalist who is now at the print. It was tweeted to Mr. Amit Shah, it was tweeted to Adityanath, it was tweeted to the Noida authority, and no action was taken. The news was in the headlines for media who's giving itself a pat. This was on Times of India, a Times of India journalist. So there is no one here who can use this debate to say that Bulldozer Baba ki jai, it is because of him action is being taken. The reality is that
Chitranshi also has a voice. She wants to say something to you, Ghanshyam Tiwari. Allow Chitranshi. Yes, Chitranshi ji.
I want to say something कि we are 1200 families residing in this society. This society is very big, and this time only we all feel safe कि at least this government has taken some action within a call 20-30 minutes. Mr. Mahesh Sharma has come yesterday and he scolded the police also. That day when incident was going on, we called the police, and our demand with the Shrikant Tyagi ji is only please come out and say sorry to the victim. But he didn't come out and didn't sorry to the victim.
That is your demand?
Our demand is very less.
Shrikant Tyagi, because or are you representing the woman who was harassed and almost assaulted? What are you saying? I am sorry.
We are defending. I am representing our women.
That people in media represent.
But I am telling you the arrogance of
don't browbeat her. Don't browbeat a resident. Don't browbeat a resident who has been with Ina. Please don't browbeat her. उन्हें कहने तो दीजिए.
Shrikant Tyagi ji should come and say sorry. You should all say.
आप हमारी पूरी बात तो सुनिए.
आप बात तो सुन लीजिए. घनश्याम तिवारी जी, मैं मानती हूँ आपको मौका मिला है बीजेपी को मारने का, आप मारिए, मैं आपके साथ खड़ी होंगी. लेकिन चित्रांशी जी की आवाज तो मत दबाइए.
कम से कम
उन्होंने तो सहा है 3 साल, उनकी आवाज तो सुन लीजिए.
अपने डिबेट को झूठ निकारण का मंच मत बनाइए. आप टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया का आर्टिकल दिखाइए October 12 का, और यहाँ पर बुलडोजर बाबा की जय बोलना बंद कीजिए. इस सरकार ने उन्हें डनर दिया था. उनकी गाड़ी पर
1 minute. चित्रांशी जी, what's your point? Chitranshi ji, what's your point?
Now I have a point as well.
My point is this, that incident happened that time. Our demand was very less, but he didn't come out and he was abusing the victim. That is not happened actually in anyone from in this India. And this is our anger actually. And now our demand is this, that victim has to be safe today, tomorrow, and after that also, because we feeling unsafe.
Navika, you have a point.
Okay, that's a fair point. They're feeling unsafe, and today, when there is action, there is at least some confidence building. Tehseen Poonawalla, can you understand that? And can you also explain to us, मतलूब अहमद का कोई एड्रेस पता चला? कोई बुलडोजर?
Narika ji, I want to congratulate and salute Chitranshi ji. She's been very, very brave, like all the women out there. I just want two very basic points to make. If the system requires the Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh or the Honorable Member of Parliament to interfere for what the BJP spokesperson says a chota mota gunda, it tells you how collapsed the system is.
What about Rajasthan? Can you also respond to Matloob Ahmad who's on the run? नहीं, एक शब्द तो बोल दीजिए ना. एक शब्द तो वहां के रेजिडेंट्स के लिए भी बोल दीजिए.
मैं खत्म तो कर दूं, मैं बोल
नहीं, खत्म तो हम सब हो जाएंगे. खत्म हम सब हो जाएंगे. आप राजस्थान के बारे में भी तो एक शब्द बोल दीजिए.
जब राजस्थान पे डिबेट होगी मैं राजस्थान पे भी बोलूंगा. मैं अपनी बात यहाँ पे समाप्त कर दूं. अगर आप चाहते तो राजस्थान
नहीं, अभी तो आप राजस्थान के चीफ मिनिस्टर को बड़ा जस्टिफाई कर रहे थे. मतलूब अहमद पे ताला क्यों लग जाता है?
कोई ताला नहीं लगा. मैं उसको
बता दीजिए कहां भागा हुआ है, किसका संरक्षण है?
Can I please finish my point here? I will answer that. Please allow me to finish my point here. I will answer that. I'm not going to escape. You think I'm like the BJP that I'll escape?
So you said on another day, if you are promising to answer today, right now, I'll give you 30 seconds.
I've never broken my promise to you or to Smita ji.
All right. Respond.
Yeah, quickly. Just think of how badly the system has collapsed that the chief minister has to give instructions to arrest this goon. Ma'am, on your show is saying that they're still afraid. This, after the video went viral, ANI Times now was fighting for it. Mainstream media and social media was trending this thing. They were still scared, and his goons came in and they threatened these people. That shows Uttar Pradesh has collapsed. Now to Rajasthan. No ifs, no buts. That man must be found. But I am telling you, not just he's missing. Even the RSS people involved in the riots are missing.
So why are you protecting both of them? Both of them should have been behind bars 4 months ago, my friend. You run the government there. Why are you sleeping on the driving wheel? Is a question people will ask. But Rakesh Tripathi ji, चित्रांशी जी का एक सवाल है कि विक्टिम आज भी अनसेफ हैं क्योंकि कल उनके कॉलोनी में, उनके बिल्डिंग में गुंडे घुस गए. अब ये बताइए, ये कोलैप्स नहीं है पूरे सिस्टम का कि उनको फोन करना पड़ता है सांसद को, सांसद आते हैं, फोन घुमाते हैं, तभी कुछ वहां पर हलचल होती है?
देखिए नविका, मैं इस बात से सहमत हूं कि वहां पर स्थानीय पुलिसकर्मियों के द्वारा लापरवाही बरती गई, इसीलिए एसएचओ को सस्पेंड किया गया है. इसीलिए वहां जिस दरोगा की ड्यूटी लगाई गई थी उस दरोगा को सस्पेंड किया गया है. 4 पुलिसकर्मी जिनकी ड्यूटी लगाई गई थी उनको सस्पेंड किया गया है. और पीड़िता जिनके साथ ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है उनको 2 पीएसओ प्रोवाइड कराए गए हैं ताकि वो किसी तरह से अनसेफ महसूस न करें. पर्याप्त पुलिस का बंदोबस्त किया गया है. यह भी एक सच्चाई है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ही सांसद डॉक्टर महेश शर्मा जी वहां पहुंचे, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के विधायक पंकज सिंह जी वहां पहुंचे. समाजवादी पार्टी हो, बहुजन समाज पार्टी हो या कांग्रेस पार्टी हो, किसी पार्टी का कोई एक भी नेता वहां नहीं पहुंचा है कि वो पीड़ितों के साथ, उनकी आवाज पर उनके साथ खड़ा हो और उनको ये विश्वास और भरोसा दिलाए कि नहीं उनकी सुरक्षा होगी. भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने, नेताओं ने, सांसदों ने, विधायकों ने अपनी जिम्मेदारी को समझा है और सरकार ने अपनी जिम्मेदारी का पालन किया है. आप निश्चिंत रहे, वहां सोसाइटी के हर नागरिकों की सुरक्षा करना राज्य सरकार का दायित्व है और राज्य सरकार अपने दायित्व का पालन करेगी.
महेश शर्मा हैज कम ट्वाइस इन आवर सोसाइटी.
तो वो थैंक कर रही है घनश्याम तिवारी जी. बिल्डिंग वाले थैंक यू बीजेपी बोल रहे हैं, आप बड़े चिंतित लग रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. श्रीकांत त्यागी 8 साल से भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता है.
मंत्री के साथ
फोटो है, उसको बैनर दिया गया. उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार का फिगर उसके ऊपर लगा हुआ है. 3 साल से टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया की जर्नलिस्ट ट्वीट करती है. हम सबको थैंक यू बोलना चाहिए. आप भी थैंक यू बोलिए, स्मिता जी भी थैंक यू बोले, चित्रांशी जी तो बोल ही रही है. हम लोग धन्यवाद करना चाहिए. उन्होंने उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार को एक अवसर दिया है कि सरकार है.
समाजवादी पार्टी
भारतीय जनता पार्टी को अवसर दिया है कि वो दिखा सके कि वो कितनी सैद्धांतिक और कितनी संस्कारी पार्टी है. हम सबको थैंक यू बोलना चाहिए क्योंकि इस देश में अब आप रोटी खाइए तो मोदी जी को थैंक यू बोलिए, सांस लिए तो थैंक यू बोलिए. यहाँ पर उनका नेता खुलेआम गुंडाई कर रहा है, वहां पर हम यहाँ इस मंच में इसलिए बैठे हुए हैं कि हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी को थैंक यू बोल सके. बिल्कुल बोलिए थैंक यू.
स्मिता,
नहीं, समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता अगर उनकी आवाज उठाने के लिए गए होते तो समाजवादी पार्टी को भी थैंक यू करते। अगर अखिलेश यादव सोसाइटी गए होते, आप सोसाइटी गए होते तो आपको भी थैंक यू करते। आपके नेता, आप लोग स्वयं तो छुट्टी मनाकर सो रहे हैं, ये सोचते हैं कि ट्विटर पर ट्वीट कर देने से केवल समस्या का समाधान हो जाएगा।
जनता पे छोड़ दीजिए, जनता ने जो देखा है उसके चलते आज आप लोग अपने घुटनों के बल चल रहे हैं।
स्मिता प्रकाश wants to come in. स्मिता,
जनता ने तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को सत्ता में भी।
राकेश जी एक मिनट, स्मिता जी कुछ कहना चाह रही है, राकेश जी एक मिनट सुन लें जी।
I think it's very important to listen to what people have to say. I hope politicians learn from this, but I have very little hope because the way what I just saw this Mr. Tiwari yelling at the residents saying, "Is that what you want? All you want is an apology." You should have. I guess what he's trying to say is that you should want him to go into jail. The fact, I'll tell you honestly, is that the residents all want to just live in peace. They don't want vendetta. They don't want vengeance. They just want. And I'm saying this. I don't know those residents, but I can well place it. Nobody wants कि हाँ उसको जेल में उसको चक्की पिसवाओ, उसको कोड़े पड़े ये no, because everybody knows.
And most people don't want to go to court, Smita. Most people want to stay away from courts.
Exactly, they just want to live peacefully. They want that those illegal structures come down. If that person can live like everybody else as common citizens and respecting each other, that's what they want. They don't care whether he's from BSP, SP, BJP, whatever party. They just want everybody to have level playing field in a residential area. The other thing is, let me just give you a little bit of unrequested advice. As far as Bulldozer Baba is concerned, I am not saying Bulldozer Baba की जय। अगर कल को अखिलेश जी चीफ मिनिस्टर बन जाते हैं, वो बुलडोजर लेके ऐसे लोगों को they bring about justice, let me tell you, टीपू बाबा की जय भी बोल देंगे. It just is that people are tired of going and knocking on doors and waiting for the legal system to move its wheels.
Well,
why do they want?
Well, we'll have to leave it at that, because the question is, while Shrikant Tyagi is still on the run, it doesn't really give too much for the BJP to celebrate. But some action is better than no action. That's how low expectations of the janta, of the public, have become. Will this end soon? Will we really see some quality governance? That's the question people are asking in this country now. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.
When you fight arrogance,
समझी? अगर लगाना पेड़ तो इलाज कर देना कहीं पर।
when your voice is crushed, when you resist entitlement. Times Now fights your fight.
यहाँ ग्राउंड फ्लोर का बंदा है जो एनक्रोचमेंट कर रहा था, छोटे प्लांट बड़े प्लांट लगा रहा था। मैंने आके बोला कि ये प्लांट हटा दो, तो वो नहीं मान रहा था। मैंने हटाया तो बोलता अगर तू मेरे पौधे छुएगी तो मैं तुझे छूऊंगा। Bad languages.
These are very, very shocking pictures, and the question that is being asked is that even though members of his family may have been detained or picked up for questioning, even though the vehicles may have been seized, the question is that whether the sections imposed have been stringent enough.
There are individuals who live in the society, are residents, who have alleged that this man has been misbehaving for quite some time now, and in fact complaints were filed with the authority. The DM himself wrote a letter saying that the security cover given to this individual needs to be withdrawn because it's threatening the residents of the society.
Stories that have an impact. Times Now, our channel of choice.
On the other side, we have another way where there is a controversy building up. Aam Aadmi Party MLA Amanatullah Khan is in the eye of a storm once again. A man whom the NIA has tagged as an ISIS terrorist and funder was given a clean chit by one MLA of the Aam Aadmi Party. Amanatullah Khan says Mohsin Ahmed, a student of Jamia College, is innocent and is being targeted for his religion. This is what the AAP MLA tweeted. He said that this student and the arrest of this student of Jamia, Mohsin, is unconstitutional. It is a bid to defame and harass Muslims. He went on to say that Mohsin is innocent and should be released soon. The central agency says Mohsin allegedly arranged funds for ISIS operations. He was allegedly spreading ISIS propaganda among the youth. He was actively working for the terror outfit both online and offline. He was sending crypto funds to Syria and other nations. The BJP has termed it as blatant appeasement by AAP MLA and say that the silence by the Chief Minister is his tacit backing.
एक तरफ अरविंद केजरीवाल तो तिरंगा लेकर बात करते हैं और अपने आप को कह रहे हैं हम बड़े देशभक्त हैं, लेकिन उन्हीं का एक चेहरा है जो मुस्लिम तुष्टीकरण की बात कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं के कहने पर कर रहे हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल बताएं क्या अमातुल्ला खां आपके इशारे पर ही कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं? ये धर्म के आधार पर राजनीति, इनका सिर्फ एक ही मकसद है, तुष्टीकरण 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 और वोट की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। इन्हें देश की सुरक्षा से कोई लेना देना ही। क्या केजरीवाल उसकी जिम्मेदारी लेंगे कि वो जो पकड़ा गया वो निर्दोष है और वो कोई कुछ काम करने वाला नहीं थी?
Want to ask Arvind Kejriwal, does he agree on what Amanatullah Khan is saying? I mean, why he always gives a communal angle on this? Why Aam Aadmi Party is having a problem when someone is arrested by the NIA? BJP condemns that and asks Arvind Kejriwal whether he says what the Amanatullah Khan tweet is right or wrong. If he's done wrong, why is not taking an action on Amanatullah Khan? BJP is asking this.
ऐसे खतरनाक चेहरे को जब कल अरेस्ट किया गया तो आम आदमी पार्टी आज उस आतंकी के साथ जाकर खड़ी हो गई है। आम आदमी पार्टी के एमएलए अमानतुल्लाह खान कह रहे हैं मोहसिन अहमद के साथ हम डटकर खड़े हैं, हम उसका साथ देंगे। अब आम आदमी पार्टी आतंकियों का साथ देगी? अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का ये भोला भाला चेहरा एक बार फिर से बेनकाब हुआ है।
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me to debate this controversy is Shehzad Poonawala, BJP spokesperson, and AAP supporter Ravi Srivastava. Shehzad Poonawala, isn't this the oldest defense from the book of the Congress party that the Aam Aadmi Party MLA has picked up today? Terror is the domain of investigating agencies like NIA. Why should politicians jump in to give certificates?
Today, AAP is not Aam Aadmi Party, it is anti-people appeasement party, and today we are seeing the Tushtikaran ka DNA, because for them terror is above Tiranga, and therefore this is not the first time Amanatullah Khan is coming out in defense of ISIS. Here he said Tahir Hussain has been punished because he's a Muslim. When special cell arrested ISI agents, they said that persecution of Muslims is taking place. Mr. Kejriwal did not take any action. Why did he not take any action? Because Kejriwal himself wanted investigation, and independent investigation in Batlaus. He doubted the martyrdom of MC Sharma ji. Then he also demanded proof, Aam Aadmi Party, for surgical strikes. This is the Aam Aadmi Party's track record. And then Gul Panagar also said how they had relations with radical elements in Punjab. So always compromising for the sake of votes is the Aam Aadmi Party's purani aadat. And therefore today I would say that Mr. Kejriwal, if he puts Tiranga above terror, he should tell us what action he will take on Amanatullah Khan. But he will not take any action because for the sake of vote bank. ये vote bank का competition है, और इस तुष्टीकरण के कंपटीशन में कभी आईएनसी, कभी आप और कभी समाजवादी पार्टी, ये तीनों लगे रहते हैं केवल वोट बैंक को भड़काने के लिए और संरक्षण देने के लिए आतंकवाद को, और मनोबल पर चोट करते हैं सुरक्षा एजेंसियों के।
Ravi Srivastava, it's been 24 hours and we haven't heard anybody from the Aam Aadmi Party actually condemning the statement of Amanatullah Khan, because terror investigation, should it be done by political parties?
First of all, terrorist has got no religion, and terrorist is a terrorist. He should be booked, he should be punished. And Arvind Kejriwal does not need a lesson in nationalism from any other political party.
Are we talking about Amanatullah Khan?
Amanatullah Khan's voice is not Aam Aadmi Party's voice.
Oh!
It may be his personal opinion.
Personal opinion of an MLA who represents the Aam Aadmi Party, fought elections and won on an Aam Aadmi Party ticket. Uska personal opinion hai ye.
Navika Kumar, can I speak?
No, you
Please
can, only if you answer the questions that I have.
I will answer all the questions.
आपको जो गुस्सा आ रहा है वो अमानतुल्लाह खान पे क्यों नहीं उतर रहा, मेरे पे क्यों उतर रहा है?
मुझे सबके ऊपर गुस्सा आ रहा है, मुझे उसके ऊपर भी गुस्सा आ रहा है जिसने 16 फरवरी को जेएनयू में भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे के नारे लगाए थे।
हाँ, उनको कांग्रेस ने ले लिया था, कांग्रेस ने उनको ले लिया अपनी पार्टी
पकड़े गए, आज तक कितनी चार्जशीट फाइल हुई, आज तक कितने लोग जेल गए, टेररिज्म के केसेस, अल कायदा पकड़ लिया हमने। हर 15 अगस्त और 26 जनवरी के पहले एक ना एक आदमी हमको पकड़ लेना है, दिखाने के लिए कि हम हमारी बहुत काम कर रही है।
सुन रही है?
तो पुलवामा में 40-44 लोग जो SKISF के जवान शहीद हो गए, वो आज तक किसी को पता नहीं चला उसमें कौन कौन गुनहगार था। इस देश में सिर्फ 2 आदमियों को याकूब,
ये पाकिस्तान का दोष आप हटा रहे पाकिस्तान से।
किसी को फांसी
आपको पता नहीं चला? आपको पता नहीं चला पुलवामा में क्या हुआ था और कौन रिस्पॉन्सिबल था? आपको पता ही नहीं चला? कौन से देश में रह रहे हैं आप भाई साहब?
मिली
भाई साहब कौन से देश में रह रहे हैं आप?
बीजेपी का ही आदमी था, और जो बीजेपी के टेरर वाले होते हैं उनको बीजेपी बोलती है ये तो हमारे मेंबर ही नहीं है। जो जम्मू में पकड़ा गया
शहजाद पूनावाला,
देखिए नाविका जी,
शहजाद पूनावाला रिस्पॉन्ड
एक एक करके बात रखते हैं। देखिए सबसे पहले तो कोर्ट ने आज 6 दिन की रिमांड दी। मैंने नवभारत पर ये खबर देखी है, टाइम्स नाउ पर ये खबर देखी है, तो क्या कोर्ट भी पक्षपात कर रहा है, प्रोसिक्यूशन कर रहा है? दूसरी बात, ये केजरीवाल एंड अमानतुल्लाह द सेम साइड ऑफ टू साइड ऑफ द सेम कॉइन। ये देखिए ना, ये आम आदमी पार्टी का बयान है कि वी डिमांड surgical strike का proof, and this is Mr. Kejriwal who sought an independent investigation into Batla House, and therefore he said that Mohan Chand Sharma ji's martyrdom was not in fact a martyrdom. Today now Ravi Srivastava, who is a very important asset of the Aam Aadmi Party, means he's like a sleeper cell who can be used to deploy. He's saying that look, it is actually Pulwama has been done by BJP, Pulwama has been done by India, it's not been done by Pakistan. So यही सोच है इनकी, पुलवामा का दोष भी पाकिस्तान पर नहीं भारत पर डालने का काम आम आदमी पार्टी ने किया था।
रवि श्रीवास्तव जी, यहाँ कोई नेशनलिज्म का सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है। नोबडी इज गिविंग एनीबडी अ नेशनलिज्म सर्टिफिकेट। आई हैव अ बेसिक क्वेश्चन, एंड द बेसिक क्वेश्चन इज that if Amanatullah Khan has said something and you don't agree with it, like I don't agree with it, I would express कि Amanatullah Khan is wrong when he says that ISIS का आदमी अगर चार्ज है तो he is being arrested only because he belongs to a particular community. I would leave that to a specialized agency to find out, to prove it in a court of law. I want to ask you, why do you not also believe the same thing, that if the agency has any doubts, then the investigation is the job of the agency? Why bring in community? Why bring in religion?
Because I know agency's competence level is very low.
Oh.
They are not able to prove the cases.
So who is protecting this country? Are you protecting this country? Or are agencies like the NIA figuring out who has to be put in jail and who is a terrorist, who is a potential terrorist? Are you doing it? Or are the Jawans guarding and the agencies working? That's why you are living peacefully, Mr. Ravi Srivastava. Shehzad Poonawala, would you want to comment on that?
This is the agenda. They say कि हमारे एक करके, रवि जी प्लीज कृपया करके, मैडम,
we are not jumping. We are not jumping. We are not jumping, and we are asking Mr. Amanatullah Khan also to not jump. Leave the agency, which is a specialized agency in these matters, to do its job. Why bring in religion is the only question. Shehzad Poonawala, I'm lowering your fader, Ravi.
Now look, first of all, they say don't jump to conclusion. टेरर का कोई धर्म नहीं होता, हमने तो पहले दिन से कहा, परंतु हिंदू टेरर किसने कहा था? भगवा आतंक किसने कहा था? यही लोगों ने कहा, इसी इकोसिस्टम ने। आज कहते हैं डोंट जज, वी आर ऑल्सो सेइंग डोंट जज, बट बिफोर द कोर्ट कुड इवन गिव रिमांड एंड द कोर्ट असेस्ड द इंफॉर्मेशन एंड गिव रिमांड, अमानतुल्लाह खान डिक्लेयर्ड दैट द NIA was wrong, that this man is an angel of peace, अमन का दूत है ये, and he declared कि all of this is investigation is wrong. So he has stuck at the manobel of our investigating agencies, tried to obstruct the investigation and has given a cover fire to ISIS. And therefore I would ask Mr. Kejriwal that आम आदमी पार्टी का ऐसा दिल क्यों धड़कता है आईसिस के लिए? यू से तिरंगा तिरंगा, पर मन में आपके टेरर और दंगा, ये नहीं चलेगा अरविंद केजरीवाल जी।
रवि श्रीवास्तव जी, मेरा सिर्फ एक सवाल है आपसे।
Before the word,
can we have a country where the constitution and the investigation agencies are allowed to do their job? Can we stop political certificates being distributed by political parties? Can we stop that activity? Especially in matters related to terror?
I am just reminding you, just a couple of months before, thousands of people gave a clean check to the person for whom the Prime Minister, rather the Government of India apologized to the whole world. Didn't they do it?
क्या बोले जा
I will not name. You know the name better.
Well,
one second. That person whom you will not name has been suspended. Now tell us when Arvind Kejriwal will suspend Amanatullah. No, you suspend Amanatullah. Apply the same standard. Apply the same standard. हम front foot पर आकर कह रहे हैं कि we suspended. Now you tell me when you will suspend Amanatullah. I asked Mr. Kejriwal when will he suspend Amanatullah.
Will you? That was a far greater crime. I am telling you.
अच्छा, now crime का category हो गया. वाह वाह वाह.
Well. On the issues of terror, can we just stop politicizing it and distributing certificates? I mean, haven't we learned from all terror incidents across the world in the last 20 years? Can political parties just up their guard on issues of terror and stop politicizing it? It's a small ask by the people of this country who are not interested in politics, just in security and their daily lives. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough, to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So, first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too fast, too quickly, yes, it will bring down inflation, but then it will slow down growth, it will slow down incomes and so on and so forth. So there is a balancing act that has to be done. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to increase as far as possible the trajectory of welfare and real incomes. And in that context, we have to trade off between growth and inflation. So the trade-off that we are making right now is, rather than tighten so harsh that growth slows down, we are tightening somewhat, but not so much that growth slows down too much. So keeping GDP growth going, create jobs, which is an important question, which I hope we will come to later on. These are issues that are also foremost in our mind. So
you're watching the News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned. welcome. You are watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. The entire country watched one of the most disgusting videos of recent times. The video of a man so drunk on self-importance and self-arrogated power that he forgot the law. He forgot how does one live in a community, even forgot basic decency. That video was of Shrikant Tyagi, self-styled BJP leader, abusing and pushing a woman in the housing society where he lived only because she was protesting against the illegal construction that he had done around his house. But today, Shrikant Tyagi was made to feel the full impact of the law that he himself had disregarded. Already this man has been booked under the Gangster Act. The complainant has been given to personal security officers. Seeking to surrender, Tyagi has been given the next 48 hours to turn himself in, else he will face harsher punitive action. But what drew maximum cheers today was when the government sent in bulldozers to demolish the illegal construction that for years had been done by Tyagi, that so far had gotten unpunished, that in fact was at the root of the entire fight to begin with. As the workers brought down Tyagi's empire of terror, sweets were distributed. Cheers went up as a jubilant crowd finally felt heard. A sense of catharsis. This, for them, was finally justice not just being done, but seen to be done, and the message drilled in was loud and clear. There will be zero tolerance for gundas and goons, irrespective of who you are, where you come from, and whatever power you think you wield.
बहुत खुश हैं। ये काम पहले हो जाना चाहिए, 2 साल पहले हो जाना चाहिए था, बट आज हो रहा है, बहुत अच्छा।
आप लोग बहुत दिन से कंप्लेन कर रहे थे इसके बारे में, तो अभी फाइनली एक्शन हो गया।
अभी एक्शन हो गया और सबके लिए बहुत अच्छा हुआ है।
आप लोग को जो प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी उसका जस्टिस डिलीवर हो गया।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, अगर ये हो जाता है और वो इंसान जेल के अंदर आ जाता है तो ये और भी अच्छा होगा। नाउ वी आर फीलिंग सो सेफ एंड वी आर थिंकिंग आवर गवर्नमेंट इज विद अस, सो नाउ वी शुड नॉट स्केयर्ड फ्रॉम एनीवन।
This is very good because the encroachment is not allowed for anyone, and this is illegal. This was completely illegal, so this should not be done. And I think this is the right what has to be done. पहले से ये होना ही चाहिए था.
We are very happy.
3 साल पहले होना तो जो आज हुआ, लेकिन जो हुआ बहुत अच्छे के लिए हुआ। लोगों को ये सबक मिलनी चाहिए कि जितने भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन है, एनक्रोचमेंट है, वो खत्म होनी चाहिए।
Whatever it is, the final product is that it has been demolished. We are happy with that.
योगी जी के इस कार्रवाई से बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ के रेजिडेंट खुश हैं, और जो नोएडा अथॉरिटी है उनके सीईओ हैं, उनकी भी इस कार्रवाई से बहुत खुश हैं। हालांकि उन्हें ये एक्शन पहले ले लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन जो हुआ देर आए दुरुस्त आए। ये जो मिठाई आई है इस कार्रवाई की वजह से आई है। आज यहाँ की जनता बहुत खुश है, लेकिन किसी के नुकसान होने पर मिठाई नहीं बांटी जाती, लेकिन जो मिठाई बांटते हैं लोग वो कहीं ना कहीं दुखी होते हैं, और उनको ये चीज देखने को मिलती है तभी वो मिठाई बांटते हैं।
But despite all of this, understandably, there is politics even now. From calling the action by the Yogi government too little too late, to questioning why was this man protected so far, whether his links to the BJP, what had emboldened him, to even saying that Tyagi is but a tip of the iceberg.
And that action you have very well seen. After taking directions from the Honorable Chief Minister, immediately the Commissioner and the District Magistrate reached to the site, and action has been taken against that. He has been booked under Gangster Act. 25,000 rupees prize has been declared on him, and even that the property which has been illegally constructed has been broken down.
सबसे पहले तो मैं कहूँगी उसकी गिरफ्तारी ना होने की वजह सबसे बड़ी ये है क्योंकि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से जुड़े हुए हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी का छोटे से छोटा नेता, बड़े से बड़ा नेता, वो पुलिस की चुंगल से निकल जाता है। वो कितनी भी बदतमीजी कर ले महिलाओं से, उनके साथ दुर्व्यवहार कर ले, पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी की पूरी संरक्षण उनको मिलती है। पुलिस उनको पकड़ नहीं पा रही है, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
एक तो ये बात हो गई कि वो सदस्य ही नहीं है। दूसरी बात यह है कि देखिए पार्टी हमारी बिल्कुल इस संकल्प के साथ कि जो सही है वो होगा, जो गलत होने नहीं देंगे, और जो सही है वही होगा, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग आगे बढ़े हैं। न्याय सबके साथ होगा, कानून व्यवस्था की जो सिचुएशन है उसके साथ किसी को भी खिलवाड़ करने की इजाज़त नहीं मिलेगी, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग बढ़े हैं। तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूँ, एक तो यह व्यक्ति सदस्य था नहीं, दूसरा कोई हो ना हो, कितना भी बड़ा क्यों ना हो, इन जनरल भी मैं इस बात को स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं कि अगर वो गलत किया है तो उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई होगी, कोई बचा नहीं सकता उसे।
उत्तर प्रदेश में भाजपा का गुंडा सरेआम एक महिला से, बदतमीजी तो बहुत छोटा शब्द है, गुंडागर्दी करता है। जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग किया वो हम सार्वजनिक जीवन में बोल नहीं सकते हैं, वो फरार है। कानून राज की बात उत्तर प्रदेश में ना करे, क्योंकि ये तो हम शुरू से कह रहे थे, यही है उत्तर प्रदेश के कानून की असलियत। मंत्री जी फाइल लेकर गायब हैं और त्यागी जी जो है वो फरार हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस कहीं मिल नहीं रही है। वहां का सांसद ही कह रहा है शर्मिंदगी महसूस हो रही है कि इस प्रदेश में हमारी सरकार है, तो विपक्ष के लिए मुझे लगता है बहुत कुछ कहने को बचा नहीं है।
So is it true? Is this goon Tyagi being shielded by a political godfather? Has the Yogi government given a zero tolerance message by throwing the rule book at Tyagi and company and practically going on an operation all out? Or is this too little too late? But more importantly is the very curious question. What will happen to the people who so far had called the bulldozer, whether in Uttar Pradesh, whether in any part of the country, the weapon for victimizing only the minorities and the poor?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Alright, joining us on the debate, Alok Awasthi, spokesperson of the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, Anurag Bhadoria, national spokesperson, Samajwadi Party, Pawan Agri, national spokesperson of the Rashtriya Lok Dal, Lokesh Dindal, political analyst. Anurag Bhadoria, सबसे पहले मैं आप ही से शुरू करूंगी। आज 8 अलग-अलग एक्शन लिए हैं योगी सरकार ने इस आदमी के खिलाफ। क्या आप मानेंगे कि अब जस्टिस हुआ है?
उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर में पद्मजा जी गुंडा राज, जंगल राज, माफिया राज और गालीबाज राज चल रहा है। यहाँ पे जो हालत है पुलिस की वो आपने देख ली। पुलिस कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करती है। पुलिस एक बार ये लगातार 5-6 सालों से गुंडागर्दी कर रहा है, लोग परेशान है, पुलिस ने कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की। वो तो शुक्र मनाइए मीडिया का, सोशल मीडिया का, जिन्होंने ये वीडियो वायरल कर दिया। वीडियो वायरल नहीं होता तो गुंडागर्दी ऐसे ही चलती रहती। उसके बावजूद भी वीडियो वायरल हुआ, एक्शन हुआ, उसके बाद भी 17-18 इनके लोग दोबारा पहुंच जाते हैं रात को।
चलिए, एक्शन मीडिया की वजह से हुआ। चलिए, इसी बहाने आपने मीडिया को कुछ अच्छा तो बोला नहीं तो कई ऐसी पार्टी जो कह रही है कि सारी मीडिया इंस्टीट्यूशन सब जाके भाजपा के साथ बैठी हुई है। कम से कम आपको किसी को क्रेडिट देना था तो आपने मीडिया को ही दे दिया। चलिए, दैट्स अ गुड स्टार्ट, दैट्स अ गुड स्टार्ट। बट ये बताइए मेरे को, आप कह रहे हैं कि पुलिस कुछ कर नहीं रही है। जो ये 25,000 का जो इनाम है, जो गैंगस्टर एक्ट लगा है, जो 3 FIR हुए हैं, जो 6 पुलिस वाले सस्पेंड हुए हैं, जो 8 टीमें बनी हैं, जो उत्तराखंड को गई हैं, वो कौन कर रहा है?
अच्छा, मैं पूरी
अनुराग जी,
वो मुझे पूरी बात करने दीजिए। तो जिस तरह से पुलिस वहां पे करप्ट है, भ्रष्ट है कि वो 16-17 लोग चले जाते हैं उस लेडी को धमकाने के लिए। इस घटना के बावजूद भी कैसे चले गए? कहाँ है पुलिस कमिश्नर? कहाँ है इनकी पुलिस? फिर बाद में पुलिस नहीं सुनती है तो इनके सांसद आते हैं, फिर क्या कहते हैं पता आपको? मुझे बहुत शर्मिंदगी महसूस हो रही है कि उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है। जब सांसद ये कहने लग जाए कि मुझे,
उन्होंने ऐसा नहीं कहा, वैसे तो मैं वहां मौजूद थी, उन्होंने ये कहा कि मुझे इस बात की शर्मिंदगी हो रही है कि एक महिला को धमकाने के लिए कैसे 10 लोग अंदर घुस गए। उनको आपने एक्स्ट्रापोलेट करके कह दिया मुझे शर्मिंदगी हो रही है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है, ऐसा उन्होंने नहीं बोला। उन्होंने कहा पुलिस किधर है, मुझे इस बात की शर्मिंदगी है कि मेरी बहन को थ्रेटन करने के लिए कोई घुस गया।
उन्होंने बोला, अरे मुझे बोलने नहीं देंगे पुलिस ने, उन्होंने बोला कि हमें शर्मिंदगी महसूस हो रही है क्योंकि मेरी पुलिस नाकाम है, नकारा है, सुन नहीं रहे। वो किसको मिला रहे हैं?
तो इसीलिए 6 लोग सस्पेंड हुए ना अनुराग जी, 6 लोग सस्पेंड हुए ना, 6 लोग सस्पेंड हुए।
कब हुए? पुलिस कमिश्नर क्यों नहीं सस्पेंड हुआ?
24 घंटे के अंदर सस्पेंड हुआ।
नहीं, क्यों नहीं सस्पेंड हुआ पुलिस कमिश्नर? मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, अभी तक पकड़ा नहीं गया अपराधी और पुलिस कमिश्नर अभी अपनी जगह बैठा हुआ है। उनको चीफ सेक्रेटरी होम को मिलाना पड़ता है फोन। इसके मतलब पुलिस कमिश्नर करप्ट है।
एक सेकंड, तो आप मेरे को ये बताइए, आपकी नाराजगी और आपका ऑब्जेक्शन है क्या? आप कह रहे हैं कि पुलिस कुछ कर नहीं रही है, या पुलिस बहुत कम कर रही है, या पुलिस अभी तक पकड़ क्यों नहीं पाई है? आपका एक पहले नंबर 1 ऑब्जेक्शन बताइए कि बहुत देर कर रही है अरेस्ट करने में।
अभी तक सुन तो लो, नंबर 1 पुलिस बिना पुलिस के सहमति से, बिना पुलिस के अधिकारियों की सहमति से वो भाग नहीं सकता। वो भाग गया, अभी तक पुलिस के गिरफ्त से बाहर है, सिर्फ खबर आ रही है। एक बात। दूसरी बात, इतने दिन तक वो किसके संरक्षण में, किस भारतीय जनता पार्टी की, भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं के साथ घूमता था, तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं ने और सरकार ने उस पर एक्शन इतने दिन तक क्यों नहीं लिया? तीसरी बात, ये लगातार इस तरह इनके नेता कहते हैं कि वो बीजेपी का सदस्य नहीं है। ये बताइए, राज्य सरकार में इनके मंत्री हैं, कोर्ट से फाइल।
अच्छा, आपकी कंप्लेंट ही कंप्लेंट है। वैसे मैं आपसे इससे पहले कि आलोक अवस्थी जी इसका रिस्पांस दें, आप कह रहे हैं कि 72 घंटे हो गए, अभी तक इसको अरेस्ट कर लेना चाहिए था, करेक्ट अनुराग जी?
बिल्कुल।
72 घंटे बहुत देर हो गई।
48 घंटे ज्यादा हो गए।
48 घंटे, 72 घंटे ही होने वाले, राउंड राउंड करके 72 घंटे मान लेते हैं। आपको शायद याद होगा क्योंकि आप तो तब राजनीति में आ गए थे, 2017 का वक्त था, इलेक्शन होने वाले थे। आपके पार्टी के जो गायत्री प्रजापति है ना, उनके ऊपर एक महिला और उसकी अंडर एज बेटी का रेप का मुकदमा चल रहा था। वो पता है कितने दिनों तक भागे फिर रहे थे जब आपकी सरकार थी अनुराग जी? 1 महीना अंदर थे, 1 महीना। 32 दिन के बाद उनको पकड़ा गया। 32 दिन, जिसको 72 घंटे बहुत ज्यादा लगते हैं ना, वो 32 दिन तक गायत्री प्रजापति को ऑन द लूज रखे थे। 32 दिन।
जवाब दे रहा।
हाँ, जवाब दे रहा।
उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार में उन्नाव के विधायक को जिसपे चार्ज था और महिला के साथ अन्याय करने का चार्ज था, लगातार उसको बचाते रहे। इनके चिन्मय स्वामी जो है,
गलत था वो भी, पर वो भी 32 दिन से कम ना उनको निकाल दिया गया और अरेस्ट तो पहले कर लिया गया था। बट आपने सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया अनुराग जी। अगर आपको 72 घंटे ज्यादा लग रहे हैं तो आपने 32 दिन तक गायत्री प्रजापति को भागने क्यों दिया? तो क्या हम ये मान लें कि 32 दिन तक गायत्री प्रजापति आपके संरक्षण में भागे हुए थे? वॉज गायत्री प्रजापति on the loose for 32 days because you were protecting him? अनुराग जी,
सजा काट रहा है।
चलिए मैंने मान लिया कि ये सरकार,
मानिए क्योंकि उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर में जंगल राज चल रहा है।
ठीक है, जंगल राज है, मान लिया जंगल राज है। अनुराग जी, अब आप सुन नहीं रहे हैं। होल्ड ऑन, 30 seconds please. Your argument is that because Shrikant Tyagi has not been arrested after 72 hours, प्रदेश में जंगल राज है। तो फिर यह भी माना जाए कि जब 32 दिनों तक गायत्री प्रजापति छूटे हुए थे, तब तो मतलब संपूर्ण जंगल राज था, तब तो अदम्य जंगल राज था।
मैं सुन लीजिए, कोर्ट से इनका मंत्री सजा की फाइल लेके भाग जाता है। सोचो आप, जंगल राज नहीं तो क्या है? यहाँ पे इनका एक विधायक।
चलिए, 72 घंटे से जंगल राज, 32 दिनों से रामराज, कोई बात नहीं।
सुन तो लीजिए, जिस तरह से महिलाओं पे
सुन तो रही हूँ, बट आप जवाब नहीं दे रहे। मैं सुनने के लिए तो बैठी हूँ, बट आप सुनने नहीं दे रहे क्योंकि आप जवाब नहीं दे रहे। वैसे एक छोटा सा आपको एनेक्डोट और बता दूं अनुराग जी, अब गायत्री प्रजापति की बात निकली है तो थोड़ी दूर तक तो जाएगी। सो लिसन टू मी फॉर अनदर 30 seconds एंड आई रियली मस्ट ओपन दिस अप। सो लिसन टू मी फॉर अनदर 30 seconds। चलिए, 32 दिन तक आपने गायत्री प्रजापति को ढूंढ नहीं पाए, मामला यही नहीं रुका। दर्शक ये जान के और भी खुश होंगे कि महिला हित का इतना आपको ख्याल था कि उनके अरेस्ट होने के बाद 27 जून 2017 दिस मैन हु वाज अरेस्टेड अंडर पॉक्सो, यानी कि बच्ची से रेप का जिसके ऊपर इल्जाम था, उसको मिलने के लिए आपके पार्टी के नेता मुलायम सिंह जी जेल गए। नेताजी जेल गए गायत्री प्रजापति से मिलने, और उससे मिलने के बाद ये बोला नेताजी ने, दिस इज व्हाट ही सेड, Gayatri Prajapati is being treated like a terrorist in jail. An innocent person like him has been put on jail because of bogus complaints by women. And you know what he said about the woman? उस महिला के बारे में नेताजी ने बोला, how can a woman get raped when she didn't even go to Prajapati's house? तो जब महिला के हितों की और महिला सुरक्षा की बात होती है ना, थोड़ा सा लुक बैक।
सुनिए, मेरी बात सुनिए।
खुद नेताजी गए मुलायम सिंह यादव जेल में पॉक्सो के आरोपी से मिलने।
5 घटना है, कोर्ट में अंडर ट्रायल चल रही है घटना, और आप भी जानते हो कोर्ट में किस तरह के बयान।
अभी तो महिलाओं की बात हो रही है ना अनुराग जी, महिलाओं की बात हो रही है, महिलाओं पे रहते हैं।
उन्नाव में
अब आप किधर चले गए?
बताते घूम रहे थे, कौन था स्वामी, कौन थे?
चलिए,
क्या हुआ?
ओके, चलिए कोई बात नहीं। आई थिंक इट इज क्वाइट क्लियर व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट जंगल राज। एंड लेट मी से एट द आउटसेट, आर देयर पीपल हु आर हार्बरिंग क्रिमिनल्स इन पॉलिटिक्स Absolutely yes. But can any political party sit there and take a moral high ground? Absolutely no. और मैं तो अभी उन नेताओं की बात भी नहीं कर रही हूं जिनको पब्लिक में इतना बढ़ा चढ़ा करके पैरागॉन ऑफ वर्च्यू दिखाया जाता है और उनकी पर्सनल बिहेवियर कैसी होती है महिलाओं से. बट एनीवे, आलोक अवस्थी जी, ये बताइए, 3 साल लग गए टू क्रैक डाउन ऑन श्रीकांत त्यागी. क्यों? क्या आपके पेट्रनेज के, आपके झंडे के और आपके जो आपका पूरा एक पार्टी का जो संरक्षण था, उसके बिना इस आदमी का इस तरीके का दबंगई चलती? कौन है ये आदमी? कौन है? हजारों ऐसे घूमते हैं उत्तर प्रदेश में, पर इसकी इतनी क्यों चलती थी?
पद्मजा जी, इस व्यक्ति के पास पार्टी का ना कोई पद था, ना ये पार्टी का सदस्य था. स्वामी प्रसाद मौर्य के साथ ही ये रहता था और स्वामी प्रसाद मौर्य के साथ ही जा चुका है. लेकिन और ये कोई बड़ा बदमाश भी नहीं था, छुटभैया है. तो इस छुटभैये के मामले में मेरा स्पष्ट रूप से कहना है, इस देश प्रदेश के अंदर कानून का राज है. जैसे ही ये घटना प्रकाश में आई, उसमें तुरंत ही हमने कार्रवाई करी है. इसकी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन को हमने तोड़ा है, इसके साथ के लोगों को उठा के बंद किया है. इस आदमी के ऊपर गैंगस्टर एक्ट लगाया गया है. इसकी जितनी अवैध संपत्ति, उसकी सूची बनाई गई है. क्योंकि ये फरार है तो 25,000 रुपए का इसके ऊपर इनाम रखा गया है और पुलिस की 8 टीमें दौड़ रही है.
वो बहुत अच्छी बात है, ये मानते हैं कि आज आपने एक्शन लिया. मैं ये कह रही हूँ 3 साल से क्या चल रहा था. आपको मैं बताती हूँ, अगर ये छुटभैया नेता है तो 8 अक्टूबर 2018 को गाजियाबाद पुलिस ने इसको 1 गनर दिया. उसके बाद प्रदेश शासन के आदेश पे इनको 2 और सुरक्षाकर्मी दी गए. भाई, हजारों छुटभैये घूमते हैं, हमें तो नहीं मिलता गनर. इनको कैसे 3-3 गनर मिले हुए थे, वो भी गाजियाबाद पुलिस के? क्यों? और उस वक्त तो मौर्य जी आपके साथ भी नहीं थे, जितना मुझे याद है.
गनर किसी को गनर नहीं, स्वामी प्रसाद मौर्य मंत्री थे. गनर अगर किसी को मिलता है तो वो लोकल इंटेलिजेंस यूनिट की रिकमेंडेशन पे मिलता है कि इस व्यक्ति को जान पे खतरा है.
अरे पर ये तो छुटभैया है, इसको क्या जान का खतरा हो गया? ये ना आपका नेता है, ना ये कहीं का नेता है. आप कह रहे हैं कि हमने इसको कोई सुरक्षा नहीं दी थी. ये बाय द वे ऑन रिकॉर्ड बोला है आपके नेताओं ने कि इनके पास जो गनर है, हमारा कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. अब पता चल रहा है गाजियाबाद पुलिस ने मुहैया कराई थी. आपको लगता है कि इसकी दबंगई अपने से चलती? जब आदमी गनर लेके घूमता है तब गुंडागर्दी होती है, और इसीलिए लोगों को डरा रहा था. आप क्या कर रहे थे 3 साल तक? इसकी जान को खतरा है. ये जिनको धमका रहा है उनकी जान को खतरा नहीं है.
नहीं है, ये प्राइवेट सिक्योरिटी, यह प्राइवेट सिक्योरिटी को लेकर चलता है. और हम किसी भी महिला की अस्मिता की हम रक्षा करने के लिए प्रण किया है. योगी आदित्यनाथ जी को दोबारा टर्म दिया है. जनता ने तो इस भरोसे से दिया है कि उन्होंने 5 साल तक इन गुंडों को, मवालियों को, दंगाइयों को, आतंकवादियों को जो है किनारे रखा है. और यह कसम खाई है योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने कि एक भी बदमाश को छोड़ेंगे नहीं, एक भी दंगाई को दंगा करने नहीं देंगे और आतंकवादी एक भी घटना नहीं होने देंगे. आप समाजवादी पार्टी की आप बात कर रही थी, मैं इसमें और जोड़ना चाहता हूं गायत्री प्रजापति के बारे में. गायत्री प्रजापति जी को राज्य मंत्री बनाया गया था. जब करप्शन के चार्ज लगे, उसका प्रमोशन करके उसको स्वतंत्र प्रभार दे दिया गया. जब और करप्शन के चार्ज लगे तो उसको पार्टी से बाहर निकाल दिया गया. उसके बाद फिर मुलायम सिंह के कहने मंत्री बना दिया और कैबिनेट मंत्री बना दिया गया. उस मंत्री ने, बलात्कारी मंत्री ने, जिसके न्याय के लिए एक बालिका और उसकी मां भटक रही थी, योगी आदित्यनाथ की सरकार आने के बाद हमने अरेस्टिंग कराई है और उसको आजीवन कारावास की सजा कराई है. अखिलेश यादव तो उसको चुनाव प्रचार में जा रहे थे, छोड़ दिया जाए. एक महिला
कौन अधिकारी मिला हुआ है जो गनर दे रहा था? कौन नेता मिला हुआ है जो दे रहा था? कौन है?
5 मंत्री और मैं कहना चाहता हूँ,
जनता के सामने आना चाहिए. अधिकारी मिले हुए हैं, इससे नेता मिले हुए हैं, बीजेपी का नेता है और बीजेपी के नेता को बचाने की कोशिश मत कीजिएगा.
पर एक सेकंड, बार बार जो कहा जाता है, लेट मी गेट इन पवन आगरी जी, बार बार पवन आगरी जी ये बोला जाता है कि बीजेपी के नेता को बचाने की कोशिश हो रही है. दिस इज विदाउट अ डाउट. 2018 में इनको गनर मिला, हाँ मिला. 2020 में विड्रॉ कर लिया गया. आज जब इस आदमी ने बदतमीजी की, और इसमें छोटा सा मैं आपको पीछे का वाकया बताती हूँ. 3 साल पहले इस आदमी की कंप्लेंट हुई थी, उस वक्त भी पुलिस आई थी. इसका इलीगल एनक्रोचमेंट उस वक्त भी हटाया गया था. फिर 3 साल में इसने फिर से बना दिया. अब इसने बदतमीजी की. अब इसको, जैसे कि हिंदी में कहते हैं, इसको दौड़ा दौड़ा के पकड़ा जा रहा है. इसके ऊपर इसकी दुकान हो, इसका घर हो, इसका गांव हो, इसका दूसरा घर हो, हर जगह छापे डाले जा रहे हैं. तो कौन बचाने की कोशिश कर रहा है? क्या बचाना इसको कहते हैं या बचाना इसको कहते हैं जो मैं 2013, क्योंकि समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ आपका गठबंधन है, तो मैं आपको बताती हूं कि 2013 में उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने had moved court to drop a case of rape and dacoity against a समाजवादी पार्टी लीडर। एटा में मुलायम सिंह यादव की सरकार ने एक मूव किया एप्लीकेशन saying that this man who is a leader of theirs from कासगंज, उनके खिलाफ डेकोइटी और रेप का केस था, उसको विड्रॉ कर लिया जाए। बचाना तो इसको कहते हैं ना, गैंगस्टर एक्ट का लगाना बचाना तो नहीं कहते।
देखिए, जिसको भी बचाया गया ये तो आप ये बिल्कुल गलत कह रही हैं, क्योंकि वो सजा काट रहे हैं गायत्री प्रजापति, पहली बात।
अब काट रहे हैं ना सर, अब काट रहे हैं।
नहीं, मैं आपको एक बात बताना चाहता हूँ। मेरी एक बात सुनिए।
पर जब सरकार थी तब तो भगा रखा था ना उनको।
सरकार तो बचा रही थी।
देखिए, इस समय
फिर तो ये दुर्भाग्य हो गया कि चुनाव हो गए, सरकार बदल गई।
पद्मजा जी,
क्या पता अभी भी सम्मानित मंत्री होते।
पद्मजा जी, देखिए पद्मजा जी, सत्ता मद में चाहे श्रीकांत त्यागी हो या हमारे आगरा के टिंकू भार्गव हो, जो कि क्या नाम है, अनुसूचित मोर्चा के जिलाध्यक्ष, जिनको बाकायदा पद मिला और उन्होंने अपने मित्र का गला काट कर, अभी आपने 2 दिन पहले देखा होगा, वो उन्होंने गला काट कर और बाकायदा मतलब इस तरह का कार्य किया, वो हत्या के आरोपी हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं ये
तो
लग रहा है जो अपराधियों को
जो आप बात कर रहे हैं वो भी जेल में है। और बाय द वे, क्योंकि आपने एक अलग सा एग्जाम्पल लाके खड़ा किया है, मैं आपको बता दूं, जो आप एग्जाम्पल बोल रहे हैं ना, उनका पर्सनल डिस्प्यूट था सर, मतलब डोमेस्टिक डिस्प्यूट था। अब आप उस बात को ला रहे हैं,
सारे अपराधों को। और शायद यही कारण है कि आज उसकी इतनी हिम्मत पड़ गई है श्रीकांत त्यागी की, कि उसको पूरे प्रदेश की सरकार यदि पकड़ नहीं पा रही है, तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि उस पर किन लोगों का हाथ है।
सर,
तो मुझे कुछ कहने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
एक वली उल्ला करके आतंकवादी था।
देखिए,
वली उल्ला करके आतंकवादी था पद्मजा जी, वली उल्ला करके एक आतंकवादी था, बनारस में बम विस्फोट किए थे। 18 लोग मारे गए संकट मोचन मंदिर के अंदर। उसका मुकदमा जो है अखिलेश सरकार ने वापस लेने का प्रयास किया था। हाईकोर्ट ने, जज ने कहा कि उसको प्रथम श्री दे दीजिए, आपका बस चले तो। उसको फांसी सजा दिलाने का काम योगी आदित्यनाथ ने किया है। ये आतंकवादियों को समर्थक है, ये आतंकवादियों को मदद करते हैं, का काम करते हैं। एक और
मुख्यमंत्री
खान उसकी मौत हो गई। 40 सालों के खिलाफ समाजवादी पार्टी
आप समझिए, मैं तो मुख्यमंत्री जी से खुद आग्रह कर रहा हूं, आदित्यनाथ योगी जी से, कि यदि वो जीरो टॉलरेंस की बात करते हैं तो इन अपराधियों को सजा दें और बाकायदा। लेकिन ये कहना कि हमारा उस पार्टी से कोई मतलब नहीं था, या ये बिल्कुल गलत बात है। नहीं तो उसको सिक्योरिटी क्यों दी जाती? आप ये बताइए।
अरे सिक्योरिटी तो अब हटा ली गई सर, आप 3 साल पहले दी गई सिक्योरिटी की बात कर रहे हैं लोकेश जिंदल, बट आप भूल जा रहे हैं कि आप बार बार जिस आदमी को कह रहे हैं कि भाई इसके ऊपर सत्ताधारियों का हाथ है, सरकार का हाथ है, योगी आदित्यनाथ का खुद का हाथ है, ये कैसा हाथ है कि वही हाथ हथौड़ा चला रहा है आपके घर के ऊपर। एक तरफ मैं आपको बता रही हूं, how people are being given actual security where cases are being withdrawn, and on the other hand, this man is literally being hunted down.
क्या होता अगर ये मामला पब्लिक लाइफ में उजागर ही नहीं होता? क्या होता अगर सोशल मीडिया में ये मामला नहीं डिस्कस होता? क्या होता अगर आप ये मामला नहीं डिस्कस करते? तो ये मामला रफा दफा हो जाता। ऐसे श्रीकांत त्यागी घूमते रहते, उस महिला के साथ अत्याचार होता, आम नागरिक के साथ अत्याचार होता, लेकिन कोई सुनवाई नहीं। क्योंकि रिसेंटली एक रिपोर्ट पब्लिश की गई थी कि अब जो पॉलिटिशियंस हैं 363 सिटिंग एमपी एंड एमएलएस, दे आर क्रिमिनल्स, हैव क्रिमिनल रिकॉर्ड्स। और सबसे ज्यादा टॉप लिस्ट बीजेपी ने की। 83 टोटल बीजेपी के ऐसे एमपीज और एमएलएस हैं जिनके खिलाफ क्रिमिनल रिकॉर्ड्स। बात यह है, अगर बीजेपी वाकई में सीरियस है करप्शन, इस तरह की वारदातों को लेके, तो उसे उन सभी एमपीज और एमएलएस के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए। सेक्शन 8 रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट के तहत कोई ना कोई लीगल प्रावधान लेके आना चाहिए, ताकि ऐसे श्रीकांत त्यागियों के लिए सबक बने। इनकी हिम्मत बढ़ती जाती है। आपने जैसा कहा 2018, 2020 गाजियाबाद पुलिस ने इन्हें संरक्षण दिया, एक गनमैन दिया, 2 गनमैन दिए। इन्हीं से इनकी हिम्मत बढ़ती है। ऐसा चाहे पॉलिटिशियन किसी भी पार्टी का हो।
तो अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि अगर किसी को रिप्रिमांड ना किया जाए तो उनकी हिम्मत बढ़ जाती है?
बिल्कुल।
शायद वैसे ही जैसे कि अशोक गहलोत जी ने एक बार असेंबली में बोला था कि राजस्थान में रेप के आंकड़े इसलिए बढ़ रहे हैं क्योंकि महिलाएं झूठी रिपोर्ट लिखा रही है रेप की, उनके खिलाफ कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया गया। तो परसों उन्होंने ये भी बोल दिया कि अगर बच्चियों की हत्या हो रही है वो इसलिए हो रही है क्योंकि रेप लॉज बहुत टफ है। शायद उनको रिप्रिमांड किया जाता तो ये नहीं बोलते।
गहलोत साहब उस समय एज अ लेजिस्लेटर के तहत उन्होंने बात की है, उनका काम है कानून बनाना।
उनको कैसे पता कि महिलाएं झूठ बोल रही हैं जब वो रेप की रिपोर्ट लिखा रही हैं?
देखिए उनके पास में
मुख्यमंत्री होते हुए वो रेप कंप्लेनेंट को झूठा बोल दें तो वो लेजिस्लेटर का हैट पहने हुए हैं।
इट इज नॉट द इंटेंसिटी ऑफ द punishment, it is the certainty of the law that prevents or that acts as deterrent.
खनन माफिया ने
So whenever we are talking
चौथी
about
बार
an
जो है
administration,
हमारे सांसद वहां पर है, महिला सांसद है रंजीता कोहली, उनके ऊपर जानलेवा हमला किया है। चौथी बार एक महिला सांसद के ऊपर हमला किया है खनन माफिया में राजस्थान के अंदर।
आलोक अवस्थी,
क्या ये करने जा रहे हैं?
सवाल पूछ रहे हैं आलोक अवस्थी।
घटनाएं
पूछिए।
हाँ, मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, चौथी बार हमारे सांसद रीता कोहली महिला सांसद हैं, खनन माफिया के द्वारा हमला किया गया, जानलेवा हमला किया गया है। अशोक गहलोत सरकार क्या कर रही है? महिलाओं के ऊपर सबसे ज्यादा अत्याचार की जो कथाएं आती हैं वो समाजवादी आपकी राजस्थान सरकार में आती है। अशोक गहलोत जी क्या कर रहे हैं? और वहां पर जब मॉब लिंचिंग होती है तो एक मुसलमान को तो जो है 50 लाख का महोदय दिया जाता है और राहुल गांधी जो है उसमें जाकर के ट्वीट करते हैं और एक इंक्वायरी कमीशन बैठता है। वही एक खेताराम करके जो है हिंदू मारा जाता है, मॉब लिंचिंग उसकी भी होती है। उसकी गलती ये होती है कि उसने एक मुसलमान लड़की से जो है शादी कर ली थी, उसको मारा जाता है। 2 लाख मुआवजा भी आपकी सरकार नहीं देती है। ये किस तरह का भेदभाव वहां पर है, ऐसा बता दीजिए।
Okay, the facts of the case are right there in front of you. One thing is amply clear. Everyone has a very dodgy record when it comes to standing up for women in principle. If it comes to putting their political expediency or choosing between political expediency and the rights of women, the choice is very clear for most netas. But to give credit where it's due, today the Yogi government has thrown the rule book at this man who certainly deserves it. He deserves to be behind bars. And what is the ultimate irony and poetic justice? When he was abusing that lady, he called her do kaudi ki, and today, thanks to that lady standing up to this man, he's lost his house, he will be behind bars, and he's being hunted down like the goon that he is. Let's hope he's behind bars ASAP. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining me. Rajya Sabha MP and former Law Minister Kapil Sibal today made some scathing remarks against the judiciary and courts, including the Supreme Court and Chief Justice of India. Practicing lawyer himself, surprisingly, Kapil Sibal alleged that sensitive cases were being assigned to certain judges and the outcome is already known. He also said that the process is such that the CJI decides which bench will deal with the matter. Now the courts can never be independent, eventually reaching the conclusion that when it comes to the Supreme Court, there is no hope left.
50 साल के बाद मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे इस संस्था से कोई उम्मीद नहीं है। आप बड़ी बड़ी अदालत की जजमेंट्स की बात करते हैं, लेकिन जमीन पे क्या हो रहा है उसको आप देखिए और ये सोचो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के द्वारा आपको राहत मिलने वाली है, आपको बड़ी भारी गलतफहमी है। जिस कोर्ट में जज बैठाए जाते हैं थ्रू अ प्रोसेस ऑफ कॉम्प्रोमाइज, जिस कोर्ट में कोई सिस्टम नहीं है कि कौन सा कोर्ट किसकी अदालत पे लगेगा, जिसमें चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया तय करता है कि ये मैटर किसके साथ जाएगा और कब जाएगा, कब सुनवाई होगी, कोई सिस्टम नहीं है, वो कोर्ट कभी इंडिपेंडेंट हो ही नहीं सकती।
Statement made by Kapil Sibal and the Congress leaders are on the line of their existing mindset. For the Congress party and their like-minded people, courts or any constitutional authority must favor them or work according to their interest. Whenever constitutional authorities or the courts give a decree or a judgment against their mindset, they start attacking the constitutional authorities itself.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
An extremely worrying charge if a practicing and a very senior lawyer at that himself says the Supreme Court is not to be trusted. Where is this coming from? Arjun Sharan, lawyer, is joining us along with Lokesh Jindal, political analyst, Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swarajya. And that first question is to you, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. What is the state of our country where a practicing lawyer doesn't have expectations from the Supreme Court anymore?
You know, this is a mindset where you have conditional commitment towards the Constitution. If I win a case, the Supreme Court is good. If I win an election, the Election Commission or the EVMs are good. Otherwise, I will start undermining these institutions. It's not surprising. Kapil Sibal came from a legacy and went into a legacy that have questioned the vaccines as BJP vaccines. They have routinely doubted security agencies and have held up as correct the terrorists. He has doubted the armed forces on surgical strikes. So, you know, he comes from that legacy. But what is important in this particular case is that look who's talking. If hypocrisy had a face, it would look and seem and sound exactly like Kapil Sibal. Kapil Sibal has been the lawyer of the cause of the first families of Indian politics, which actually undermined and gave the Indian judiciary their darkest years. You remember Justice Baharul Islam in the courts, then went back as Rajya Sabha MP, then back to the courts, then went back to contest an election. Justice Ranganath Mishra gives a clean chit on 1984, comes to the Supreme Court, then goes to the Rajya Sabha. Then you had the likes of Justice A.N. Ray, and we've seen all of that. So, you know, when you come from that legacy, today you can criticize judgments, but to undermine an institution merely because you have faith in a Parivar Tantra and because things are not going well for the Parivar, you think it's a threat on the Lok Tantra. That's hypocrisy, and that's how it looks.
Arjun Sharan, when it's convenient, you say great job. When it's not, you say Supreme Court is compromised and can't be trusted. How?
Padmaja, you look at his entire speech. It's a 30-minute speech. I've seen and heard it twice. And you are, really, putting this across in a very different light. People are picking up one or two lines. People are making statements. The law minister made a statement that our enforcement directorate is autonomous. Any independent observer of Indian politics and law will tell you that ED is not autonomous. Anyone who has seen the Supreme Court, and Mr. Sibal, of course, has as law minister, as a senior advocate with 50 years of practice, I have seen the speech. There is not even a single objectionable statement.
So what did he mean?
What is wrong when he says that the PMLA judgment was not correctly decided? Many people have been criticizing it. Many legal experts have done so.
But how do you decide whether the judgment is correctly decided or not?
Even judges, 4 judges of the Supreme Court had come out in protest.
Sir, barely 3 months ago in May, the same Congress was hailing the Supreme Court when the sedition law was put on hold. At that time, the same Supreme Court was to be trusted. In August, that same Supreme Court is not to be trusted. Why? What are the parameters for deciding that Supreme Court has given a right judgment and this is the wrong judgment?
Padmaja, the thing is, Supreme Court is not one Supreme Court. It has, more than 13, 14 benches, and there are multiple judges. The problem is with how the system is structured. Mr. Sibal raised 2 points. One regarding selection of judges, appointment of judges, and second, how matters are allocated. And we know for a fact, even Supreme Court judges, they themselves had come out in protest, talking about how matters are allocated. We know about the 4-judge protest. All of you had covered that. And there can be individual decisions, and even at the sedition decision,
but
for example.
But sir, the Supreme Court is not looked at as benches or individuals. It is seen as an institution. So essentially what you're saying is that some judges are good, but some judges are not to be trusted. Is that what you're saying?
No, I am not saying that. I am saying there are structural issues within the Supreme Court which Mr. Sibal has pointed out.
Structural issues.
These are being pointed out by one of the leading lawyers of this country, and we should really put our minds together how we can fix it.
May I say something, sir, with your indulgence? This selection process, did it get compromised from 2014 onwards, in your view, or was this the case after the judges' cases where the Supreme Court took on to itself to appoint judges? Before that, the executive appointed, and I have given you several instances of how the executive then, especially of Indira Gandhi ji, appointed the likes of Baharul Islam and Rangnath Mishra and others. And I don't want to get into the supersession of the judges, but having said that, did it break after 2014 or prior to 2014 also it was broken? And if it was broken, how many instances of Mr. Kapil Sibal, the stalwart lawyer, who was even the law minister by the way, flagged this? And secondly, you also said that there's no system to determine the cases, the roster. Is that something unique to 2014 onwards, or has the system, in your view, the structure, in your view, corroded only after 2014, or was it always corroded? If it was, then please show me statements as law minister or earlier where he said the same thing.
Arjun Sharan.
Shahzad, he is not on this show. I am not his lawyer. I can't speak for him. But I'm sure, as a fact, after 2014 there has been a capture of institution. This includes the Election Commission, the Supreme Court, the CAG, all independent bodies. I am not saying that the Congress government passed and they used to not interfere. But all I am saying is, look at the situation of the Supreme Court, the High Courts, the EC. It is a really poor situation despite the guarantees of the Constitution. They are not being safeguarded. It's a very, very unfortunate.
Okay, one by one, please.
And we want it to be an institution we can all look up to.
You are claiming that after 2014 there has been a definite capture and corrosion of institutions, including the Supreme Court. But I don't understand on what basis are you saying that? And if that indeed has been the case, some of the most striking setbacks that the central government has got, for example, the fact that the single border blockade wasn't lifted, despite the fact that the centre went again and again to the Supreme Court. The Shaheen Bagh blockade wasn't lifted, despite the fact that the centre sought specific guidelines on the issue from the Supreme Court. At that time, that order itself was hailed as a big setback and slap in the face of the centre, and yet we are supposed to believe that the centre has completely taken over these institutions. This is the most strange takeover I have seen. Shehzad Poonawala.
He said that after 2014 in particular, the system has got more corroded.
One second. Let him make his point. I'll come back to you. Yes.
Arjun, we must talk. Arjun, please, now can we not indulge in a...
One at a time, please, so we can all have our say. We will all get our words in if we listen to each other. Make your quick point, then I'll go to Mr. Sharan again. Yes.
Arjun,
all right.
Arjun, because I credit you with some amount of intelligence, please tell me that in 2014, post 2014 and prior to 2014, the systems are the same, the structures are the same. But since you say that it's been corroded beyond recognition after 2014, please tell me that has any judge of the Supreme Court been superseded and a Chief Justice has been made? And I am sure that you would believe that that was the darkest era of the judicial years, when, because a person did not give a favorable judgment in the emergency to support the emergency, that supersession happened. Do you think that has happened after 2014, or did it happen after 2014 that somebody who contested on a Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha ticket of Congress was made a judge? Which of these two events that would certainly qualify as the darkest days of judiciary happen after 2014? Facts, please.
Padmaja, all I am saying is that there has never been in the history of the Supreme Court been a strike or a protest by Supreme Court.
That is your standard, not the fact that Justice was allowed to supersede judges like H.R. Khanna, who later on resigned because he gave the voice of dissent in the emergency. That's your
standard. Speak at least, please. If you credit me with some intelligence, please hear me out at least.
But it's depleting fast.
The Supreme Court is the apex court of this country. We all have faith in the Supreme Court. At the same time, it is also in our collective interest that the Supreme Court should function properly, and the government of the day, it could be a Congress or a BJP government, the government of the day should not influence its decision.
So tell me this, had this been that dictatorial government, and let me get in Lokesh Jindal on this. It seems very strange that we're talking about a dictatorship, yet it's the weirdest dictatorship that a group of Supreme Court judges have a press conference against a government, and then one of those judges actually gets promoted. What kind of dictatorship is this? This is the worst dictatorship, Lokesh Jindal.
As Padmaja, if you talk about now that Shehzad talked about post 2014, how did it led to the decline of the Supreme Court. So let me remind him, what about the transfer of judges such as Justice Patel, which went unquestioned, and Akil Qureshi, Muralidhar, all these transfers although they were disputed, but they were never questioned by the judiciary. In fact, it was after this only that 4 judges such as Chalameshwar and then Ranjan Gogoi, M.B. Lopur, Korean Joseph, they all came up together and they questioned how the allocation of key cases were done by Deepak Mishra. The point is, when we are talking about judicial administration at large, whether it is appointment of the judges, whether it is allocation of cases to the judges, even with respect to appointment of judges at the higher judiciary, all these, they do not have transparency. The government came with a half-hearted measure in the form of introduction of NJAC in 2014. However, it was not sincere for it. And after 2014, what it did with the law ministry, it simply tried to have its own
I am glad you brought that up, because I was actually going to refer to the National Judicial Appointments Commission. You know, today when Mr. Sibal is fulminating about the appointments and the allocation of cases and how the roster is made, why is it that in 2015, when the Judicial Appointments Commission was mooted by the BJP, here is what the leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Anand Sharma, said: there is no need after the Supreme Court judgment, a watershed judgment, to take any steps that may lead to any kind of confrontation with the court. We will not support any such move. At that time, Anand Sharma was deputy leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha. If you wanted transparency, if you wanted how appointments should happen, if you wanted it to be even-handed, why did you not support the NJC? Far from it, Congress openly opposed it. Why?
Because the way to NJAC would have been, first of all, appointment of some form of a commission so as to have competitive examination for higher judiciary, the way we have for lower judiciary.
Sir, you can argue about the process, but you rubbish the entire proposal itself. And today you are saying, अरे ट्रांसपेरेंसी क्यों नहीं हो रही है, सारे केसेस एक ही बेंच के पास जा रहे हैं, कुछ लोग हैंड पिक किए जा रहे हैं. Let me quickly get in Tushar Gupta as well. He's been waiting very patiently. Tushar Gupta, transparency is the need of the hour.
Padmaja, Kapil Sibal as a lawyer and then as a congressman 2017 made an argument against before the Supreme Court. You know what he said? He said, can the Supreme Court delay the Ram Mandir verdict to after the 2019 elections? That is the kind of clout he wanted to have in the Supreme Court. Today he doesn't have it and he's frustrated. He was a part of the system for decades, the very system today he is questioning. For Congress, attacking the institutions has become a routine, either it be present congressmen or former Congress people. Today, the integrity of the institutions, be it the Supreme Court, be it any lower court, be it the Election Commission, it's become directly proportional for the Congress to the number of BJP seats in the Lok Sabha. That is not how it works. You say that the Supreme Court is inclined towards BJP, but it's the Supreme Court that schools Nupur Sharma unfairly. It is the Supreme Court that puts a stop at the farm laws. It's the Supreme Court that
role that the Supreme Court and the judiciary is supposed to perform in a democracy is that of preserving civil liberty. Now the government came up with draconian laws such as UAPA Act. Especially if we talk about the PMLA Act, it is draconian in character. Any person, he can prove that there was a crime and then the money that was realized from the proceeds of Act, that could attract the ED and subsequently an Act could be given effect to. But the point is, judiciary over here, it has failed to protect the civil liberty against arbitrary action of the state. The primary task that the judiciary is supposed to perform is to safeguard.
Okay, so you didn't like the Supreme Court ruling, hence the law is draconian and the Supreme Court is compromised.
You know, there's so much hypocrisy floating around in the air. Look, first of all, Mr. Kapil Sibal has reached the Rajya Sabha with the help of an institution called the Samajwadi Party, and that's also a public institution like courts, which has no transparency or internal accountability or democracy, or nothing to speak of it, and the previous institution will also say. So I think, Mr. Jindal, if your arguments are strong, you don't need to interrupt. It's only the sign of a weak man that interrupts.
No.
You decide how weak are you. The more you interrupt, the weaker you are. Mr. Jindal, common courtesy and intelligence demand that you don't interrupt me. But you lack both.
Please.
Thank you. Now, secondly, Mr. Jindal, now you've again lost your intelligence and your courtesy.
You had your say, let him have it.
Your intelligence and your courtesy are like Rahul Gandhi's attention span. Your intelligence and your courtesy are like Rahul Gandhi's intelligence span. Please, sir. Please, don't interrupt. And don't make me...
Okay, now we'll get into a tutu meme at the end of a perfectly civilized debate. Finish your point,
I know it's difficult with congressmen around, but let me make a cogent argument. Now, secondly, he spoke about the 4 judges who protested. One of those judges happened to be a man called Ranjan Gogoi. Once he gave the judgment on Ram Mandir, these people started abusing him because they didn't like the judgment on Ram Mandir. This is the hypocrisy. Are now, please, sir, please, can you please not interrupt? Can you please let me complete? I take only 30 seconds. What is your problem?
Okay, silence for 10 seconds, please. Yes, finish.
So, the man is hailing as the poster boy of dissent in the Supreme Court. The moment that poster boy of dissent gave a judgment which he felt was correct, along with other judges, brother judges, he became a persona non grata for this first family. And lastly, I just want to have one question. The UAPA laws, which you today call an assault on the civil liberties, and the PMLA laws were signed off by Mr. Kapil Sibal as law minister. Now you come and criticize them. अरे hypocrisy की कुछ तो सीमा रखिए.
But maybe they brought it in good faith because democracy was alive and kicking at that time. But post 2014,
हम करे तो चमत्कार और तुम करे तो गुनहगार और हम सब बेरोजगार.
Dictatorship में the laws they become a weapon of killing democracy, whereas when democratic values are flourishing, those same laws are democratic. Anyhow, it's interesting that this argument should come at a time when a senior leader of the Congress has suggested that if you give us the institutions, we will show you how elections are won. Maybe the lack of those institutions in your hand is fueling the anger. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for having joined me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ.
Watching the News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too far.
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
जब साबुन अगर कोई व्यक्ति किसी टीम में खेलता है तो क्या कप्तान बनने की बात मान में नहीं आती है? आप नहीं बनना चाहोगे? पार्टी ने कभी नहीं कहा कि 2.5 साल का कोई फॉर्मूला था या इस प्रकार की कोई बात है।
Samajwadi Party District President Devendra Singh Yadav got into a car accident in UP's Manhunt when a truck hit his car and dragged it for about 500 meters before halting. Police have arrested the truck driver. Further investigation is underway. Section 144 has been imposed in Manipur's Bishnupur after a van was set ablaze at the Phokchau Ikhang by some youths. District administration has held a public meeting. 3 pilgrims killed and many injured in a stampede at the Khatu Shamji temple in Rajasthan. This incident happened at 5 in the morning. Few injured have been referred to Jaipur. Pharmacy students have created a ruckus in the premises of Civil Hospital of Lucknow while celebrating a birthday party. Senior authorities initiated an inquiry into the matter. They've said that strict action will be taken against those found guilty of disrupting hospital's peace.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight with me, Priya Beher. Here are the top stories that you need to know about. Bulldozers demolish Shrikant Tyagi's encroachments in Noida. Society raids at his shops as well. Illegal properties in other areas also under the scanner. Gangster Act slapped. 25,000 rupee cash reward announced. Shrikant Tyagi applies for surrender in Surajpur court. Is told to surrender within 48 hours or face action. Asserting his zero tolerance to crime policy, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister seeks detailed report in Tyagi's case from Home Department. 6 policemen suspended. Amidst buzz of split with ally BJP, Bihar Chief Minister calls crucial meeting of MPs and MLAs tomorrow. Huddle as ties with BJP at all-time low. RJD says it is ready to embrace JDU if Nitish breaks ranks with the BJP. Amidst strong hints of government change in Bihar, Nitish Kumar also dials Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Senior advocate and Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal alleges bias in the judiciary, says sensitive cases are assigned to certain judges and the outcome is known in advance. Gets slammed for political agenda and contempt of court. NIA arrests Mohsin Ahmed from Batla House in Delhi, calls him an active member of dreaded ISIS, but Aam Aadmi Party MLA Amanatullah Khan calls it an attempt to target and malign innocent Muslims. BJP questions premature clean chit. India's gold tally swells to 22 after final day heroics in badminton and table tennis. India finishes with 22 golds, 16 silver and 23 bronze medals at number 4. Three nights ago, we exposed an entitled, politically connected resident of a housing society in Noida who assaulted his neighbor because she dared to oppose his very visible encroachment of a common area in that society. Today, his arrogance has been crushed and bulldozed by the UP government. Yes, today the same threatening Tyagi is hiding somewhere, probably because Yogi government has opened multiple fronts against this leader. As bulldozers raised the encroached property, government officials with hammers struck down Tyagi's illegal citadel. But that wasn't all. The Yogi government threw the rule book at the man who is claiming to be a card-carrying member of the party as well as a local Mussalman. Today, he stands booked under the Gangsters Act. 3 of his cars have been impounded and now his shops are also being raided. In addition to all this, 6 of his goons who had tried to intimidate the female complainant are now behind bars. However, what drew maximum cheers today was when the government sent in bulldozers to demolish the illegal constructions by Tyagi that were the root of the fight to begin with.
बहुत खुश हैं, ये काम पहले हो जाना चाहिए, 2 साल पहले हो जाना चाहिए था, बट आज हो रहा है, बहुत अच्छा।
आप लोग बहुत दिन से कंप्लेन कर रहे थे इसके बारे में, तो अभी फाइनली एक्शन हो गया?
या अभी एक्शन हो गया और सबके लिए बहुत अच्छा हुआ है।
आप लोग को जो प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी उसका जस्टिस डिलीवर हो गया?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, अगर ये हो जाता है और वो इंसान जेल के अंदर आ जाता है तो ये और भी अच्छा होगा।
Now we are feeling so safe and we are thinking our government is with us, so now we should not scared from anyone.
This is very good because this encroachment is not allowed for anyone and this is illegal. This was completely illegal, so this should not be done and I think this is the right what has to be done. पहले से ये होना ही चाहिए था.
We are very happy.
3 साल पहले होना तो जो आज हुआ, लेकिन जो हुआ बहुत अच्छे के लिए हुआ। लोगों को ये सबक मिलनी चाहिए कि जितने भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं, एनक्रोचमेंट्स हैं, वो खत्म होनी चाहिए।
Whatever it is, the final product is that it has been demolished. We are happy with that.
योगी जी के इस कार्रवाई से बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ के रेजिडेंट खुश हैं और जो नोएडा अथॉरिटी है उनके सीईओ हैं, उनकी भी इस कार्रवाई से बहुत खुश हैं। हालांकि उन्हें ये एक्शन पहले ले लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन जो हुआ देर आए दुरुस्त आए। ये जो मिठाई आई है इस कार्रवाई की वजह से आई है। आज यहाँ की जनता बहुत खुश है, लेकिन किसी के नुकसान होने पर मिठाई नहीं बांटी जाती, लेकिन जो मिठाई बांटते हैं लोग वो कहीं ना कहीं दुखी होते हैं और उनको ये चीज देखने को मिलती है, तभी वो मिठाई बांटते हैं।
Now, a massive manhunt is on by the state. 8 teams of Noida police are there out to nab Shrikant Tyagi, and a bounty of 25,000 rupees has also been announced for any information on this man who is believed to have escaped to Uttarakhand to evade the law. Today, he tried to get some relief from the court, putting in a surrender application. But even there, he was given 48 hours to turn himself in the absence of which he will face severe punitive action.
सरेंडर करना चाहते हैं, क्यों नहीं? वो अपराधी नहीं है। अरे किसी के खिलाफ में कोई शिकायत हुई है, उसमें कोर्ट के सामने सरेंडर करना चाहता है। आप एक दिन में गैंगस्टर लगा देते हैं, दूसरे दिन आप इनाम बोल देते हैं। कितने लोगों के खिलाफ आपने इस तरह की प्रोसीडिंग्स की? एक व्यक्ति के साथ जाती नहीं है क्या? कोर्ट में रूटीन में सरेंडर मांगने पर रिपोर्ट मंगाते, रिपोर्ट मंगाइए थाने से, थाने वालों को रिपोर्ट देनी है। ये कोई इतना बड़ा मामला नहीं है, ना ही ऐसा मामला है कि जिसके लिए आप देश प्रदेश में भाग कर मोबाइल राजू यहीं रहेंगे। कहाँ जाएगा? जिसे सरेंडर करना है, जो वो तो क्लीन है ना, सामने आना चाह रहा आपके।
घटना को शासन ने तथा डीजीपी यूपी ने बहुत गंभीरता से लिया है और इस संबंध में मुख्य अभियुक्त की गिरफ्तारी के तत्काल निर्देश दिए गए हैं। अभी तक जो कार्रवाइयाँ की गई हैं उसमें वहाँ के प्रभारी निरीक्षक को सस्पेंड किया गया है तथा जो घटना के बाद वहाँ उस सोसाइटी में एक सब इंस्पेक्टर तथा 4 कांस्टेबल की ड्यूटी लगाई गई थी सुरक्षा हेतु, उनके द्वारा अपने कार्य को सही ढंग से न करने के आरोप में उन्हें भी निलंबित किया गया है। इस तरह की घटना न होने पाए तथा इस अभियुक्त के गिरफ्तारी के लिए विशेष टीमें गठित की गई हैं।
अब हमको जानकारी जैसे आपके माध्यम से या नोएडा पुलिस वहाँ आई थी, ये बता रहे मेरे अधीनस्थ अधिकारी, तो मैंने अपने अधीनस्थ अधिकारियों को अलर्ट कर दिया है और नोएडा पुलिस के स्तर से जो भी सहयोग वो चाहेंगे हमसे, तो उस हिसाब से उनको भी सोचना, मतलब सहयोग प्रदान करते हुए अग्रिम कार्रवाई की जाएगी। सीओ जो ऋषिकेश हैं ढोंडियाल, उसको मैंने लगा दिया है, उसके संज्ञान में जानकारी है। और नोएडा पुलिस, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, अगर कोई जो भी सहयोग चाहेगी हमसे।
Now, despite the state government ramming home the zero tolerance message, the politics over this issue continues unabated.
And that action you have very well seen. After taking directions from the Honorable Chief Minister, immediately the Commissioner and the District Magistrate reached to the site and action has been taken against that. He has been booked under Gangster Act. 25,000 rupees prize has been declared on him, and even that the property which has been illegally constructed has been broken down.
सबसे पहले तो मैं कहूँगी उसकी गिरफ्तारी ना होने की वजह सबसे बड़ी ये है क्योंकि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से जुड़े हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी का छोटे से छोटा नेता, बड़े से बड़ा नेता, वो पुलिस की चुंगल से निकल जाता है। वो कितनी भी बदतमीजी कर ले महिलाओं से, उनके साथ दुर्व्यवहार कर ले, पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी की पूरी संरक्षण उनको मिलती है। पुलिस उनको पकड़ नहीं पा रही है, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण।
एक तो ये बात हो गई कि वो सदस्य ही नहीं है। दूसरी बात यह है कि देखिए, पार्टी हमारी बिल्कुल इस संकल्प के साथ कि जो सही है वो होगा, जो गलत होने नहीं देंगे और जो सही है वही होगा, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग आगे बढ़े हैं। न्याय सबके साथ होगा, कानून व्यवस्था की जो सिचुएशन है उसके साथ किसी को भी खिलवाड़ करने की इजाज़त नहीं मिलेगी, इस संकल्प के साथ हम लोग बढ़े हैं। तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूँ, एक तो यह व्यक्ति सदस्य था नहीं, दूसरा कोई हो ना हो, कितना भी बड़ा क्यों ना हो, इन जनरल भी मैं इस बात को मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूँ कि अगर वो गलत किया है तो उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई होगी, कोई बचा नहीं सकता उसे।
उत्तर प्रदेश में भाजपा का गुंडा सरेआम एक महिला से, बदतमीजी तो बहुत छोटा शब्द है, गुंडागर्दी करता है। जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग किया वो हम सार्वजनिक जीवन में बोल नहीं सकते हैं, वो फरार है। कानून राज की बात उत्तर प्रदेश में ना करे, क्योंकि ये तो हम शुरू से कह रहे थे, यही है उत्तर प्रदेश के कानून की असलियत। मंत्री जी फाइल लेकर गायब हैं और त्यागी जी जो है वो फरार हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस कहीं मिल नहीं रही है। वहां का सांसद ही कह रहा है शर्मिंदगी महसूस हो रही है कि इस प्रदेश में हमारी सरकार है, तो विपक्ष के लिए मुझे लगता है बहुत कुछ कहने को बचा नहीं है।
In Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party's MLA Amanatullah Khan is in the eye of storm yet again. A man who the NIA has tagged as an ISIS terrorist and funder was given a clean chit by Kejriwal's MLA. Amanatullah Khan says that Mohsin Ahmed, who was a student of Jamia College and has been arrested from Batla House area by the NIA, is innocent and is being targeted only because he is a Muslim. This is what he tweeted after the arrest of the Jamia student. Mohsin's arrest is unconstitutional. It is a bid to defame and harass Muslims. He went on to say that Mohsin is innocent and should be released soon. The central agency is saying that Mohsin allegedly arranged funds for ISIS operations. He was allegedly spreading ISIS propaganda among the youth as well. He was actively working for the terror outfit both online and the offline media, as per the NIA. He was sending crypto funds to Syria and other nations as well. The BJP has termed it blatant appeasement by Aam Aadmi Party MLA and said that the silence of Chief Minister Kejriwal signifies his tacit backing.
एक तरफ अरविंद केजरीवाल तो तिरंगा लेकर बात करते हैं और अपने आप को कह रहे हैं हम बड़े देशभक्त हैं, लेकिन उन्हीं का एक चेहरा है जो मुस्लिम तुष्टीकरण की बात कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं के कहने पर कर रहे हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल बताएं क्या अमातुल्लाह खां आपके इशारे पर ही कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे? ये धर्म के आधार पर राजनीति, इनका सिर्फ एक ही मकसद है, तुष्टीकरण 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 और वोट की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। इन्हें देश की सुरक्षा से कोई लेना देना नहीं। क्या केजरीवाल उसकी जिम्मेदारी लेंगे कि वो जो पकड़ा गया वो निर्दोष है और वो कोई कुछ काम करने वाला नहीं थी?
Want to ask Arvind Kejriwal, does he agree on what Amanatullah Khan is saying? I mean, why he always gives a communal angle on this? Why Aam Aadmi Party is having a problem when someone is arrested by the NIA? BJP condemns that and asks Arvind Kejriwal whether he says what the Amanatullah Khan tweet is right or wrong. If he's done wrong, why is not taking an action on Amanatullah Khan? BJP is asking this.
ऐसे खतरनाक चेहरे को जब कल अरेस्ट किया गया तो आम आदमी पार्टी आज उस आतंकी के साथ जाकर खड़ी हो गई है। आम आदमी पार्टी के एमएलए अमनतुल्लाह खान कह रहे हैं मुहसिन अहमद के साथ हम डटकर खड़े हैं, हम उसका साथ देंगे। अब आम आदमी पार्टी आतंकियों का साथ देगी? अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का ये भोला भाला चेहरा एक बार फिर से बेनकाब हुआ है।
Now, another politician in the eye of storm is Rajya Sabha MP and a former Union Law Minister, Kapil Sibal. He has made some very scathing remarks against the judiciary and the courts, including the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice of India. A practicing lawyer himself, Sibal alleged that sensitive cases were being assigned to certain judges and that the outcome of these cases was known. He said that since the process is such that the CJI gets to decide which bench will deal with a particular matter, the courts can never be independent. Eventually, he ended up concluding that he has no trust and hope left when it comes to the courts.
50 साल के बाद मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे इस संस्था से कोई उम्मीद नहीं है। आप बड़ी बड़ी अदालत की जजमेंट्स की बात करते हैं, लेकिन जमीन पे क्या हो रहा है उसको आप देखिए और ये सोचो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के द्वारा आपको राहत मिलने वाली है, आपको बड़ी भारी गलतफहमी है। जिस कोर्ट में जज बैठाए जाते हैं